passion. So that is why we should believe in youth as they are our future.
It has been a competition that has really allowed me to grow in my own personal capacity, as well as grow my passion for creating change with my ideas.
YFS has introduced me to the world of entrepreneurship. I've met mentors and connected with a lot of people through YFS, and it helped me understand a lot more about building a business, sustainability, as well as improving on my teaching skills.
YFS have actually helped me is by providing me tools to create my ideas and create more cohesive messages, think more creatively, and actually give me the confidence to actually, present my product to people and actually improve it to make it a more feasible idea and make it into reality.
I envision to change the world with technology. With the solution that kickstarted off YFS, we are now more confident to build it, validate it, and we can impact our it. All thanks to the wonderful learning experience at YFS. Changing the world does not have to take a billionaire like Jeff Bezos or a tech genius like Elon Musk. We youths can start small but dream big.
It's really trying to create these platforms or create these opportunities, competitions, of which you can showcase your abilities, come together, but also trying to build out maybe a youth-to-youth, a peer-to-peer community of which we can have input on the latest products and initiatives to try to build them to the next level.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the 5th Young Founders Summit. So my name is Eileen, and I'm the co-founder of Smarter Me and organizer of Young Founders Summit. You've gotten a glimpse of what YFS is from the videos, but let me share a little bit more. YFS vision is to become the platform for young change makers to really go forth and build startups that change the world, and by providing you all with mentorship, networks, and some funding. Over the past 5 years, we've mentored over 2,000 students across Asia, and we've actually mentored over 116 startups. And this year, we have 70 of the most courageous, driven youth from all around Asia, as well as Romania, coming here from Philippines, from Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, and there are 40 of them in the room today, and 30 more who couldn't travel here. So people always ask me, why teenagers? Why Gen Zs? Can they really build? And my question to them is, why not? And in fact, with our mentors, a lot of whom are in the room, thank you mentors, who have mentored them, I think the common words that I've heard are that youth are courageous, they have a great growth mindset, learning mindset, they're really curious, and they dare to dream. So, and also it really is fortunate for us older folks in the room, that all these youth are really focused on building startups that have a good social impact. So today, we'll hear the top 8 teams pitch. Yesterday, 23 of them pitched in the semi-finals, and today the top 8 will pitch. And as you see them pitch, I hope you see and hear what I see and hear, which is vision, hope, and dreams. I'll leave my deeper sentiment for my closing speech, but for now, for today, to the cohort of YFS 2022, you guys are what a lot of us hope to be when we grow up. So don't lose that hunger, be courageous, don't lose that belief that you can make a difference, and please go forth and build. And so with that, I'm going to hand you over to our MC, Rachel.
So good morning again everyone, I'm your host for today, Rachel. So as Eileen said, to all participants of 2022, it has been an honor for YFS to witness and guide you guys as you grow into brilliant change makers. And after a meaningful journey, we are finally at the last chapter of YFS for this year. So today, we have put together a series of exciting sessions. So you guys can also access the agenda for today by scanning the QR code on the screen. So also, if you are posting anything today, please do. If you're posting on social media, do tag us at SmarterMe and use the hashtags Young Founders Summit 2022 and hashtag YFS 2022. So we would also like to thank our sponsors, SmarterMe, National Youth Council Singapore, and Mad Angels. We also extend our gratitude to all our mentors who have guided the participants along, without whom YFS would not have been possible. Thanks for investing in the future with us and joining us on this journey of uplifting and empowering Gen Z changemakers to make an inclusive, accessible, and sustainable world through technology. So without further ado, it is our honor to invite our keynote speaker for today, Mr. David Chua, CEO of National Youth Council, to open the event.
Hi, thank you so much, and a very good morning to all, and all our young founders. So amazing to sense a huge amount of energy and also anxiety, I suppose. And welcome to all the supporters here, friends, families, and also entrepreneurs. My name is David. National Youth Council, we are happy to support. We are from the government, and we're here to give every young Singaporean an opportunity to thrive, to grow, and to be committed to Singapore. But we are also interested in giving opportunities to young people from across the world, especially from Asia and ASEAN. I just leave 3 thoughts with you. I am not an entrepreneur. I'm not a founder of anything. I don't have that kind of experience. But I think there's some commonalities that we share. And I suppose if I could tell you something as I would tell my children, there are 3 things I hope you would be guided by. And the first is A, so ABCs. Be anchored to something, to your purpose, to a set of values, and to mentors and people close to you that can give guidance. And that set of anchors are important to you as you set out to do whatever you have ambitions to do. And whether you end up in government like me, or you end up doing a startup, or running a business, or just doing any other job. But have that set of anchors. And mentors are there to also guide you. Friends and families are there to help you look at yourself, take a hard look at some of the things that drive you. So remember that, be anchored by a sense of purpose, a set of values, and people that will keep you on the straight and narrow. Next, keep pushing the boundaries. So wherever you are, we all need to push boundaries. And as was said in the video earlier, your lack of experience means that you maybe don't see the boundaries where we adults do. And so push those boundaries, break those boundaries if you can. And as you push the boundaries, you will encounter a lot of resistance. And so don't give up. And for us, the older folks, we get jaded over time. Sometimes we get tired. We need people like you to help us keep pushing the boundaries because the world needs it. And finally, collaborate. We need to collaborate because you are not God's only gifts to this world. There are a lot of people out there with diverse skills, talents, and experiences that will help you bring your idea, your business, or whatever you're doing to a lot more impact. So collaborate. Don't be arrogant and don't be proud. And don't hold on to your mindset or your talent. And all these are, again, all guided by the A, what you're anchored by. So just remember these 3 things. These are 3 things that I hold dear to my heart and what I would leave with you. I wish you all the very best in your pitching later. And for the supporters, let's give them all our very best of encouragement. Thank you. Have a great time.
Thank you, Mr. Chua, for that inspiring speech. I'm sure our participants will remember your words for a long time. So moving on to our fireside chat, we have Mr. Gregory Van with us to share his insights and journey as CEO and co-founder of Endowus, a leading digital investment platform in Asia. This will be moderated by co-founder of YFS and Smarter Me, Ms. Yiling. Thank you. Okay. Hi, Greg.
Hi.
Okay, hi everyone. So we have the pleasure of having Greg with us here today in a really, really busy month of December. So really honored to have him share his journey with us here today. How we're going to do this is I'll kick it off with a couple of questions, which thankfully a few of you young bit with the very general question, maybe Greg, to tell us a little bit more about what made you start Endowus, and why this problem? So a lot of the young founders know that it's ultimately about the problem, not about coming with a solution, but the problem that you want to solve and what makes you the right person to solve this. So we'd love to hear a bit about your journey and your story there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, when we look at the world today, there are definite gaps. And definitely things, there are gaps in experiences, it can be a bit annoying to do certain things, we can try and fix those things. Okay. But there are, I think there are still some moral and ethical gaps in the way certain businesses are run or reaching their end consumers. And I think with technology and the scalability of technology, we have an opportunity where the consumer is adopting technology and where new business models can be formed to make the world fairer, to serve the end customer better. With Endowus, it was really a culmination of experience in financial services, and then I joined Grab Taxi when Grab was taxi only and cash only. And from there, helping to start the payment business, seeing how building a technology experience could be so scalable. Now, building technology is extremely painful and expensive, and you make a lot of mistakes and everything, so you need to take it step by step. And when we first launched, there were payments getting dropped, payments disappearing, and all that at Grab. But once you do it and you solve those problems, it is so scalable, and now we process millions of payments every day. So we're in this, I think the next probably 100 years, and we're very lucky to be living through this period, there are going to be a lot of gaps that technology can help to improve. And without a doubt, a lot of the experience, for example, Endowus is a wealth management platform. Wealth management is something that today 95% would be done offline. But I see absolutely no way my kids who are sitting in the back over there, I see no way that in which they will be managing their wealth offline. It's just a matter of time to create that adoption. In our business, the real fundamental issue we're trying to solve is I think, a moral wrong in the way the industry is treating us today. So, imagine a scenario where you went to a doctor, okay, and you were sick. And the doctor had 3 medicines they could prescribe to you. But one was much more expensive, and you wouldn't know any better. So one was much more expensive, and when they sell that medicine, the drug company gives them a kickback. Now obviously, and then there are 2 really cheap medicines that they know would cure your problem as well, but they would not get a kickback. Obviously, they would keep the medicines where they don't, well, not everyone, maybe some doctors would keep the medicines that don't pay that kickback and just show you the expensive one because it will cure you, and just say, hey, this is what you need, take this. Charge you the money, get a kickback from the drug company, so on and so forth. Surprisingly, this is how 99% of financial services is run today. And this is really wrong. So Endowus fundamentally is trying to change the industry and make it what we call fee only. So fee only means that we can only charge our client directly and transparently for the service that we are providing them, which is being a financial advisor, being a platform that executes on their investment desires. And I think this is going to be a lifelong problem for me. I'm going to be trying to solve this and trying to make a small dent in this industry for the next 50 years.
Thanks for sharing that. I think it's really interesting and enlightening how, on the surface, people will look at wealth management as you're serving the rich again, right? What difference are you making? But thanks for sharing all that in terms of, I guess what you're trying to solve is accessibility, right? And equal access.
There's accessibility, there's being fair. Endowus is also the first digital advisor for CPF money. That was kind of the epiphany moment for me, which was actually trying to help my wife invest her CPF and struggling through that process, being confronted with very expensive options and, in my view, very misaligned advice. So we're trying to solve the advisory aspect of investing, the access problem. So today, Endowus provides access to products that are very low cost, institutional share class, everything from very safe money market funds all the way up to very risky quant hedge funds and everything in between, and cost. Not saying, we're not going out there and saying it's free, because it cannot be free. Robinhood went out and said trading was free, but actually what's happening is they're making money off the back of your trades. Okay, so what's important is that your customer knows what they are paying for and is willing to pay it. And if you're charging too much, they have every right to fire you because you're not worth the money that you're paying them. But what I think technology has done, and especially this resonates a lot with the Gen Zs and everyone coming into the workforce now, is transparency. Without the internet, so much of what we bought and what we saw has been pushed at us, right? The product you end up buying is dependent on the bank branch you happen to walk into, and then the teller you happen to get allocated to, for example. The vacuum cleaner you buy depends on the shop you go into, and then, they would pay for real estate to be closer to the front of the shop, certain brands, so you end up walking there, and then the salesperson pitches to you for that vacuum cleaner. Now, if you buy a vacuum cleaner, I guarantee you look up reviews on your phone, maybe on your way to the shop, or you don't even go to the shop, and then you read and you discover which vacuum cleaner is right for you, and you buy that vacuum cleaner. The internet has created this level of transparency and pricing transparency where people, and you have to respect the customer, people are making their own educated decisions on what to buy. So I think this is fantastic for the consumer.
I thought it was funny, I smiled when you said Gen Zs are making decisions of their own, because informed decisions, because we were just at TikTok yesterday, and the Gen Zs were really curious to understand the algorithm of TikTok so that they can use it to push their business forward. So they're definitely thinking that way. But on the topic of Gen Zs, a question that came from them, the youth in the room, is what is your personal take on personal finance, especially for those who are just entering the workforce and are really just about to start having some income to save?
I think there are two categories of people. One that is like me, which, and I'll tell a quick story. When I started investing, and when a lot of people who are interested in markets and trading start investing, you think you can do it, no problem. You think you know how to beat the market. You think you know what companies are the companies of the future, and you think if you buy those companies, you will outsmart your parents, you'll outsmart their wealth manager and all of that. So
I heard some conversations in the bus yesterday, yeah.
Exactly. And as a result, you need to, I think, for arrogant kids like I was, you need to go through that journey. And you need to put your money where your mouth is, get crushed. Well, you can make money, get crushed, because things will rationalize. And this
Parents don't freak out, okay?
And this has happened a lot in the last year, where a lot of the stuff that was getting hyped up is down 80-90%. And go through that journey and then reset And because you're interested, do research and understand the right ways to build wealth and differentiate investing versus speculation, because they are different. And the earlier you figure that out, the better off you'll be, and the more you'll be able to focus on things you can control in your life. I think investing should be as ubiquitous as access to water, because there's no reason why a certain group of people can grow their wealth, beat inflation, prepare better for retirement, where the other group just squanders their wealth, pays a lot of fees, gets cheated, and so on and so forth. So we have a long way to go here. But regardless of what you read, if you are in Camp A as a young kid, you need to go through the trading journey on your own. So I always tell people who are just starting out and being like, you can see it in their eyes, you can see that fire in their eyes that they want to trade. I tell them, okay, go set up your, Moo account or whatever. Go play around there, but at the same time, start learning parks of money for investment. Now that's group A. And then there's group B, who's like, I don't care about this entire thing. I don't want to do any of it. I don't care about trading. Like, you're talking about stocks, I have no interest. Then you should just go straight into getting help and learning and investing, because you don't have the urge to speculate.
And is there a minimum age to start with Endowus?
Yeah, so for Endowus, you can start when you're 18, which is the legal age for licensed by MAS. And we actually have a minimum of $1,000. A lot of fintechs go with, like $1 minimum, but we actually think having that minimum creates a barrier for people to do some work before they kick off on a journey. We don't want someone to become our client because we had a lower minimum. That's not the decision point. We want them to become our client because they understand the value proposition that we have and actually why they're paying us for a service.
Okay, switching tacks a little bit, right? Back to the topic around starting and your experience and how you ended up starting Endowus because of your prior experience. A lot of them in the room are currently thinking, if I want to be an entrepreneur, do I go out and do it right now, or should I gain some work experience first? So Greg, you yourself started in investment banking and then in Grab. What would your advice be to the young entrepreneurs in the room, right? Should they be going out there, seeking other experiences first before starting out, or should they just go and try it right now?
So I think one thing, when I was younger, so let's say I was in college.
For context, the young founders today, on average, are 16 years old. So the youngest in the room is actually 13. Yeah.
When I was a teenager, when I was a teenager, I think things were, okay, so I'm 33 now. When I was a teenager, I think things were a bit more regimented in that very few people immediately started businesses. I mean, we see that a lot. We see that happening a lot more today, which is amazing. One thing I've learned, and you're kind of told that there is a model to succeed as an entrepreneur, and that entrepreneurs do it a certain way. But actually, one thing I've really come to appreciate and understand is that entrepreneurs, young and old, all do it their own way. And actually, I don't see that much pattern recognition in what ends up being successful. I just don't. Even in the personalities of founders, when they started, how they started, sometimes they were very steadfast all the way through. Sometimes they pivoted around a lot. There's no one model that works. It really comes down to, I think, the passion of the founder to solve the problem. And if they win in that, they will find a way through. Now, what I don't see work so well is someone just saying they want to be a founder without that purpose, because they will, I mean, my view is someone more passionate about solving that problem will eventually beat them. Okay, so yes, sometimes, the very first company I tried to start in college was exactly that problem. I wanted to start, actually, so I've tried to start 2 businesses before. None of them really even made it off the ground. But one was driven by a desire to be a founder rather than actually solve the problem I was trying to solve. And basically after a summer of working on it, like my friends and I were like, oh, well, I guess we just go back to school, right? So that was it. I think if you're in a highly domain, if you're going to be founding a business that is in a very specific domain that requires expertise, I think getting real life work experience in that domain would be important. Like for example, in wealth and asset management, this is a professional expertise, and where experience really matters. So I don't think I could have started Endowus right out of the bat. I would have gotten a lot of things wrong, down to the underlying product and the process and the advice that we're giving our clients, which is really important to get right. We've seen that happen with other fintechs in our domain that have not had the prerequisite experience in wealth and asset management, and they've been trying to enter it more from like maybe, in our view, maybe more like an e-commerce angle, even though I think the value proposition that they're providing is very, very different. So I would say that is important. But what I would also say is, before I joined Grab, I was really afraid of being an entrepreneur. Okay. And when I joined Grab, basically when you look from the outside in, it's like, oh my gosh, these guys are amazing. These guys, they raised so much money. They've grown so much. Everyone I know is using Grab Taxi. And they're just operating on they're operating in a different universe. That is not the case at all. That is not the case at all. Once you go to the inside of a company, you realize that no one actually knows what they're doing. Okay, so, you realize, put it this way, you realize that everyone is trying to figure things out as they go. And that's totally okay. So actually the experience at Grab, which was crazy at that time, I mean, we were launching Grab Car, Grab Bike, Grab Pay, all Grab Rewards. I mean, things that all seem very normal. The early stages of Grab Food, which was really not Grab Food at all within about 12 months, in 6 countries, while fighting off Uber, while getting whacked by regulation. Okay, so all of that in 12 months, and in the period that I was there, growing from 500 employees to 3,000 employees. Basically, everyone is running around with their head on fire. And that, from the outside in, watching them execute on all of this, you think, my gosh, they're just a different type of human being. But it's not true. And I guarantee you, Elon Musk is figuring it out step by step, right? And everyone is figuring it out step by step. So I think if you just rationally put one foot in front of the other and get from point A to point B, from point B to point C, C to D, and solve problems along the way, I think a lot more people would feel more empowered to be an entrepreneur. Now, I wouldn't try to take shortcuts. I mean, I think patience is actually really important, and we get hit with so much media all the time about these incredible people that have risen so quickly. But one pattern I have seen is that we've enshrined certain entrepreneurs. The media has chosen to enshrine them, and usually, just like when it comes to investing, when something is too good to be true, it usually is. And we've seen that happen with the fall of Theranos, the fall of WeWork. Well, we're in a WeWork right now. This is a really nice WeWork, by the way. First time here. The fall of FTX more recently. And I think it's important to be realistic and rational and patient as you move from point A to B to C. And if you try to rush that too much, if you try to go from A to Z, you take shortcuts, you may start to lose your moral compass. And I think that's definitely what happened with a lot of these big rise and falls.
That's right. So don't compare, be patient, know your purpose and passion within a few words, right? Okay, I'm going to open it up. We don't have much time left. I'm going to open it up to probably 3 questions, and Greg, I'm going to ask you to make it really short, like one sentence per question, okay?
Yeah.
So, any questions? Okay, 1, Zaira.
Hi, actually I'm not sure if this is gonna be under really financial tech, but just a personal question, like I don't think I'm speaking on behalf of all the youth founders, but one of the things that we're actually scared is you've always mentioned to be passionate, be fired, always take a step forward. But you know, I think the one thing that makes me overthink things is knowing when to stop. Like sometimes, if you always move forward, you're not sure if you're about to jump on the cliff, or you wouldn't know how to necessarily go up after falling down. And I've talked to a lot of founders, even outside Young Founders Summit, and one thing that always ask me is, how do you start moving forward? And they say, just take a step forward, don't be scared. But then they said, what if you fail? And then I'll just, okay, yeah. I wouldn't necessarily know how to answer, but then I'll consider it like it's in the back of my mind. Like, how do I know when to stop? If what makes young founders different from adults is having that passionate heart, but then we have those overthinking thoughts that we wouldn't know when to stop, and we're scared that we might take a risk that's too much or too big for us, and we might fail on things. So I want to ask, like, how do you consider those type of stops?
That sounds like a challenge, but one sentence, right?
I think by being a founder, you are choosing to take a lot of risk that is beyond the odds of winning. It's beyond, like, if you run any numbers, if you talk to a lot of people, more often than not, those science will tell you that what you're trying to do will not work, and it will be very hard to beat down on the incumbents, the thing that you're trying to fix. Because that's just, people like, old people, like, some people will say, because that's just the way it is. Now, you're choosing to take that risk, and I think you're very early in your career where you should be okay to fail in taking that risk, and you should have the power to step back, reset, and try again, having learned from that failure. But I think not taking the action is an even greater risk.
Thanks, Greg. Thanks for trying. Any questions from this side of the room? Okay, otherwise, any other questions? Okay.
founders is, finding product market fit, right? So I think for the case of Endowus, how do you guys decide on what type of portfolios or themes to roll out? Do you guys actually run it by prospective clients first, or do you identify market trends? Like, what's your process there?
So Endowus we have about 300 different strategies now on the platform. Everything from, what I said, money market funds to fixed income to equities to hedge funds and private equity available on the platform. I think what's important is that you always start from what is most core to what people need. So we actually started with a set of 6 portfolios. We still have the 6 portfolios that are all globally diversified, low cost, across the risk spectrum. And doing this for CPF, SRS, and cash. Now, our decision to do that is not because we are brilliant at all. We did it from a completely academic standpoint, a completely evidence-based standpoint, because if you do enough research on markets, you actually know that there are really only certain ways to definitively make money over time. So the core portfolios are plain vanilla, but surprisingly something that most people still don't carry in their bag.
Okay, and with that, we've come to time with Greg. But thank you so much, Greg, for your sharing. And so can we give Greg
him for that realistic yet hopeful outlook. So now we have reached the highlight that everyone has been waiting for. As I say that sentence, I can feel the anticipation thicken a little bit. So from hundreds of applications, 23 teams were admitted to the semi-finals and received 8 weeks of mentoring and workshops. Today, we narrowed down to our finalists, the top 8 teams, whose pitches all have a focus on social or environmental impact. So just to explain what's going to happen, each team will pitch for 5 minutes, and then there will be 5 minutes for Q&A. The teams will be evaluated on, firstly, market need, market potential, impact potential, innovativeness, their business model, traction, team strength, and overall delivery of their pitches. So for the teams pitching, please be mindful of the time, and know that I will interject if you exceed the time. So we would also like to thank and introduce our judges. Today we are honored to have 4 very prestigious judges with us who will be selecting the top 3 teams to receive USD 3,000, 1,500, and 1,000 respectively. So we have Mr. Kenneth Low, the principal of SoftBank Ventures Asia. We have Mr. Leon Toh, Executive Director of Damson Capital. Ms. Ria C, co-founder and co-CEO of Sheila's Tech. And last but not least, Mr. Sang Shin, Director of Enterprise Development Group, Temasek. So, thank you to our judges. So, inviting our first team. Oh, can we just have our judges turn around and wave at the camera? Thank you. Yay, okay. So, inviting our first team to start us off, Utopia. Utopia delivers a tap attachment which combines hardware and software to help you save water, save money, and save the earth. Utopia, please. Yes. Yes. Just a moment, please. Shall we give the team a big round of applause? Thank you. Good morning, judges and all present. We are Team Utopia, but before we tell you more about us, we want to know more about you. Raise your hand if you think saving water is important. Okay, now raise your hand if you know exactly how much water you use every month. It's not just you who thinks this way. Through our survey, we have identified 3 pain points of the market. 1, we can't quantify our water usage on a daily basis. 2, we don't know how to take action to effectively save water. And 3, it's just too inconvenient sometimes. So, who will help us? No, really, who will help us?
But who's behind who? Our team consists of Mohan and Jen, who are in New Zealand right now. But don't worry, they are here with us in spirit. And here we have Sion and myself, Ling Sing. Okay, let's face it. Our world is facing a water crisis. In fact, just in Singapore ourselves, each person uses 158 liters of water on a day on average. And this number has been on the rise for 2 consecutive years already. This is a live clock showing the world population living in water-scarce areas in 2023. Scary, right? But this is what the 4 of us want to solve. Introducing Who? Your solution, your smart water saver. Who turns an ordinary tap into something extraordinary? Allow me to explain how it works. Who can be attached directly to your tap and Who has many functions. Firstly, it can rotate 360 degrees to reach from all around. Secondly, it can sense your presence. It has an infrared sensor which makes hand washing very convenient, but most importantly, it saves more than 70% of your water. Thirdly, it can control how much water you use. Well, if you can't control it, who's got your back? With our timer buttons, you can do just that.
Who has a unique QR code that allows you to connect wirelessly on your phone? Judges, you will refer to the device for the app demo. The main page on our app shows your daily water usage. As water is used, the smiley face will gradually fill up, turning from blue to red when you exceed your water usage target. You'll be able to see how much water your household uses on average and which tap uses the most water. Our app will be gamified in the form of a quest with a leaderboard to appeal to younger audiences, as where users will be given daily challenges to complete. So now you may be wondering, just how much can Who save? For a 4-person household, Who can save 3,600 liters of water per month. This adds up to $10 in savings, meaning the user will earn back the cost of 1 tap attachment in under 3 months. But here's the catch. With the expansion of our product range to cover all points of water usage like the shower heads, just imagine how much more money we can save. This is a competitive analysis of the market. Who stands out by being the only product that uses smart technology to save water, provide quantifiable analysis for your water usage, and hey, doesn't that mean we have the most features at the best value?
Exactly. This brings us to the market size. As the world recognizes the importance of conserving water, the market is expected to grow at a rate of 12% annually. By estimation, our serviceable obtainable market is valued at 422 million. Our go-to-market plan includes both B2C and B2B channels, with B2B being our focus. Who provides features for both businesses and individuals with differentiated functions. We'll be reaching out to large organizations such as institutions, malls, and office buildings where sustainable usage of water is encouraged. We will be leveraging on Kickstarter and several online retailing platforms to bring our product to the market. Now, we may look young, but this is what drives us to try our best, and we believe it will take us very far. In just less than 6 months, we've secured collaborations with HP and PUB. HP will be helping us with prototyping and production, while we are collaborating with PUB for technical advice and the Singapore World Water Day 2023 to extend our reach. Just this month alone, we've already signed letters of intent with 3 different organizations. In total, we've secured 450 taps worth $11.25 thousand through our letters of intent.
Our projected annual total revenue in 3 years will reach $150,000. Looking into our 5-year business plan, we're currently working out our second draft of our prototype after some trial and error. We're expecting to launch our business in the next 6 months. With that, we have reached the end of our pitch.
Once again, we're Team Utopia, and this is our value for money, smart, and user-friendly innovation. Who?
Dennis, it's on to you. Oh, I'm sorry. Can one team, can you pass your mic to them? Thank you.
Sorry, so you gave us this box. Can I ask what this is?
Okay, so that this is the PCB board, which is supposed to fit into our prototypes. Yeah, we actually have a slide to better show it to the rest of the audience. So basically, this PCB board will have to fit into our prototype, which we'll eventually be making. So this is the brain of the whole entire prototype. So how it works is that the different functions will come together, and this will be able to power this tab. Yeah. So this is the tab file that we have made so far, and these are the different functions that will be in the tab now, and this supports the functions that we just shared about the tab just now. Any more questions?
Well, you have a couple of LOIs now. So could you walk us through, so you give us a profile of your B2B, B2C customers. That's great. I think it's very well thought through. But could you just walk us through why those customers signed the LOI? What do you think they saw as the value to be able to purchase a large number from you?
Thank you for the question. So what we actually did was that we personally reached out to them through email, and then we had a meet up with them, and then we basically pitched to them. And I think the huge selling point as to how we got so many letters of intent and why they were so willing to buy so many tags was actually, I think we were able to deliver this passion that we had about this saving water, and they actually understood that the importance of saving water. And the reason why we have this B2B market is because in companies, it's more easy to save water because there's so many tags, so the impact is actually greater than our B2C customers. So I think that delivery to the companies actually allowed them to sign this LOI.
Great job on the presentation. I've seen elder people fare a lot worse. Quick question. The product, I think, creating the prototype and mass producing it is going to be one of the huge hurdles you're going to run into. Can you tell us a little bit about the team and what their expertise are and what they're good at?
Okay, so basically we're a 4-person team, and we basically met up through school, and it's true that we don't really have the technical knowledge at all. We just have this common passion that we want to save water. And I think that's why we want to join these competitions, because there's networking, we can meet founders, mentors, we can also have funding if we win. And I think we want to use this knowledge because we don't have the knowledge on the technical aspects. So what we're planning to do as a team is to use this money to help in that process. But in our team ourselves, we're quite confident that we will be able to push this project because of this common passion. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I have a question. Great job again in the presentation, exactly what Sai mentioned. So I just want to understand a little bit about, so I know obviously monitoring daily usage of water is, we don't get that in Singapore, but how much study have you done to make sure that, it's a problem in Europe, US, etc.? So that's my first question.
Thank you for the question, but firstly we want to acknowledge the fact that we are starting with Singapore right now. So basically more of our research was centered around Singapore, so we have met PUB and all. And as for the global market, and we actually realized that saving water is actually a global problem, and I think we align this to the SDG goals as well, because that's a global framework that we can all work towards. So I think that's basically how we found out that there's a global market for it. Yeah, and in addition to that, we also shared that actually water scarcity is a huge problem worldwide. So maybe in Singapore, not really, but worldwide, yes. And the point that our tap can actually save quite a lot of water, I think will be a good selling point for the rest of the world.
Thank you, Utopia. Our time is up. Thank you. the very eye-opening pitch. So maybe invite our second team, Hyper Shelter. Hyper Shelter produces solar-powered shelter for displaced families affected by typhoons. So Hyper Shelter, please. Can we give it a big round? That's my.
Hi, I'm Aldrich.
I'm Sai.
And I'm James.
And we are Hyper Shelter. And we are on a mission to rebuild displaced communities in the Philippines, 1/10 at a time. Did you know that in the Philippines gets hit by an average of 20 plus typhoons each year? Imagine that, 20 plus typhoons. And just last December, one of the record-breaking typhoons, Typhoon Rai, destroyed 1.5 million houses and left 9 million Filipino people displaced, struggling to get access to basic necessities such as water, sanitation, and shelter. Evacuation centers are also overcrowded. They have no choice, typhoon victims, but to rebuild their homes with whatever materials they can find. We spent the last 3 months working to search for a solution to this problem. And today we are proud to introduce you Hyper Shelter, solar-powered shelter that can serve as a temporary shelter for displaced Filipinos affected by typhoons. Hyper Shelter has a solar box that integrated at the top of a tent that can provide electricity to charge smartphones, to power appliances such as electric fans and rice cookers.
It also includes a built-in light source that can be used at night and a UVC disinfection light that is meant for keeping the tent safe from bacteria and viruses such as COVID-19. Just like a coma tent, Hyper Shelter is designed to have all the essential for providing comfort and safety. We offer a unique solutions that compared to the traditional housing like brick and mortar houses and modular tents, and that is because we eliminate the limitations in terms of electricity and sanitation features, quickness, easiness, and budget. And rather than selling it directly to the displaced families which may not have the financial capacity to purchase our tents, we are targeting government organizations, NGOs, and corporate funds that are looking for cost-effective solutions to provide shelters for those affected families. The cost to produce 1 unit of Hyper Shelter is $83.41, but after manufacturing the tents, our customers can rent 10 units of Hyper Shelter for $69.47 per month. We want to help our customers for saving budget and having the flexibility to rent their shelters for short or long periods of time depending on their preferences. But again, of course, our mission always goes beyond on making profit. We pledge to use 20% of our revenue to lower the cost of our tents and make them more affordable and accessible to those who need them the most.
The potential market for Hyper Shelter is huge. The Philippine government has increased its budget for calamity funds by 55%, making it a great opportunity for Hyper Shelter to enter the market. Our target beneficiaries are displaced Filipinos affected by the typhoons. Globally, there are 46 million internal displacements every year caused by natural disasters around the world. And 8.3 of those are in the Philippines, which is the general internal displacements, and 6.7 of those are slaughter-related displacements. Our plan to bring Hyper Shelter to the market is through partnering with organizations with the same mission of providing shelter to homeless Filipinos. We can tap into their networks and reach more government units, as these organizations are already doing great work in the communities we serve. Another part of our strategy is raising awareness and educating the public about Hyper Shelter's benefits through social media platforms such as TikTok and by conducting seminars and workshops for government units. We're the team behind Hyper Shelter. We're a group of diverse teenagers with a set of skills behind technology, operations, and design, which proves that we are the best team to execute this project. More importantly, we are all committed to providing shelter to our fellow Filipino citizens who are affected by the typhoons. And we hope that you'll join us on our mission to shelter 100,000 Filipinos by 2040.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam
Thank you so much for the presentation, and this is one of the biggest challenges when it comes to displaced individuals, whether from disasters or even as we're seeing a huge migration crisis elsewhere in places like Africa or even from certain parts of Europe as well. So thank you for coming and focusing so passionately on this specific issue.
Thank you.
So this is quite interesting because it is amongst many of the different solutions I see in the humanitarian space. This is unique because you have the UV light and you have the solar with it, right?
Yes,
And then it also lights it up inside.
Yeah.
Okay. So in terms of the cost of shelter, could you just walk us through how did you do the homework to get to the cost of shelter? And in future, based on your research, how much cheaper can you make it?
Okay, so thank you so much for the honorable question. And actually, this is the main section that we specifically ask for our mentors to help us with. For the cost that we introduce, we actually consider the time and of course the budget for materials and manufacturing. So all of the materials that we introduce are actually based on Philippine peso back in the Philippines. So this includes like the cost of production per unit and includes all of the necessary materials that we introduced. And yeah, that includes the solar panels as well. So just to answer your question, actually the thing with our product, what makes it unique and good is actually when we introduce it to local government units and other organizations back in the Philippines, they said that they're interested in it. And the regarding how we can reduce the cost is actually by teaming up with the certain organizations that we have talked back in the Philippines. They are willing to help us manufacture this. And that's the main goal of what we're looking forward in this event. And that is collaborating with different organizations and companies that are willing to, of course, share us the materials that are lower in price. Because all of the materials, the cost that we introduce are all retail price. So, of course, that wouldn't necessarily include the lower cost, the discounts that we might get for purchasing a lot of the materials that we will be using. So, yeah, thank you so much for that question. Any other questions?
You mentioned earlier that you will be renting out these tents.
Yes.
So is that going to be the main model behind the business?
Yes, exactly. We're going for business-to-business model, and we're introducing the rent so that, again, like what he said, like we're actually looking forward to really reducing the cost. And we thought that if we have it like sell it by retail, that might cause the cost to go up. So we're just going to rent it, and in this way, we're also like it's flexible enough, and it's going to save us all the materials in terms of producing a lot, and then they're going to rent it, and they'll have the opportunity to rent the shelter for long or short periods of time. So they have all of the flexibility.
How will you ensure that the tents remain usable after that period of time, especially when you are most likely going to be using these tents in places where many people are going to be gathered there. They might not have access to a lot of other resources. They might be there for an extended period of time, right? So how will you ensure that?
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to tackle this certain point. Actually, what makes our tent different from all the other tents and what makes it quite expensive compared to a normal tent is because we have durable materials that we have used. And besides the durable materials, we have used solar power, we have integrated UVC, we have integrated lights, and those stuffs make our tents durable enough compared to normal tents. And we really built it, and we already considered that, of course, those typhoon victims would use our shelters after the typhoon, and of course we're not sure if there are going to be rain and stuff, and we already considered that. That's why we tried our best to have our materials be durable enough in terms of the situations. Yeah, we actually have a prototype back in the Philippines. We were able to bring it here because we actually just borrow the materials from our schools and universities, just so we can really prove to them that we can do we can actually do this. And we also introduce it to the customers that we have in the Philippines. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you. With that, our time is up. Thank you, Hyper Shelter. We all give them a big round of applause. So our third team, Elixir, will be joining us virtually. Elixir is a digital platform that utilizes AI to create personalized recipes and meal plans designed by nutritionists to improve one's health.
Hi, good morning everyone. Let me just screen share my
Can we all cheer for them before they start?
Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I will start out then. Imagine this. You come home after a long day of work, famished, you could eat a horse. You get excited to cook with your kids, a bonding activity you have always known, with the goal of eating healthy in mind. However, you open the fridge just to see it empty. Again. You look at the clock, it's 7 p.m. You think to yourself that it's now too late for a grocery run. Plus, takeout food often contains ingredients your kids are allergic to. Defeated, you resort to instant noodles. While your kids continuously whine about this throughout the dinner, considering how this is the third time this week, and it's only Thursday. Once again, you pray for an app that can miraculously grocery shop and meal plan, whilst considering the amount of time you can spend on cooking daily. Well, your prayers have been answered because Elixir is here to save the day.
Hi everyone, I'm Coco.
And I'm Melanie.
We are aspiring entrepreneurs ready to make a change in this world by providing convenient nutrition for all. People make thousands of daily decisions, from what they will wear to how they will get to work. One of the most time-consuming and anxiety-ridden all of these revolve around meals. This is amplified by having to make decisions on behalf of others, like your family. Unfortunately, the path that least resistance are often grab-and-go lunchboxes or fast food chains. These foods typically use ingredients of low quality with poor nutrition and prioritizes quantity over quality. This is where Elixir comes in. Elixir is a digital app that utilizes artificial intelligence to curate personalized recipes and meal plans designed by nutritionists to improve one's health. After completing a survey asking about their food allergies, special dietary requirements, and personal health goals, our app will recommend recipes that meet the needs of the individual. To make the Elixir experience as convenient as possible for our users, the length of the cooking experience will vary from user to user, starting from just as short as 5 minutes. This is all dependent on their daily availability to cook. Our app will also allow users to schedule ingredient delivery and pre-planned delivery to maximize convenience. Moreover, Elixir contains 3 key features that caters to everyone's needs. While we already aim to minimize users' food waste by providing them with the perfect amount of food to each meal, Elixir will also use sustainable, biodegradable packaging that can be reused. For those looking to share meals with families and friends, Elixir offers family-level customization, where a meal plan will be generated to fit every family member's preferences and needs. Lastly, Elixir offers a discussion board for users to connect and share photos of their meals, promoting interactivity. Elixir is targeting working parents from Hong Kong. From a survey we conducted with over 300 respondents, 87% of working parents say that Elixir will greatly benefit their lives. Moreover, with a drastic compound annual growth rate of 69.2%, the online grocery market has enormous market potential, and we estimate that we will have around 1 million serviceable obtainable market.
As for pricing, Elixir offers 2 models, basic and premium. For the basic model, users will have access to all features of the app. Users will be able to access meal customization to the recipe database for free. However, for the premium model, it will be ad-free and have 15% off on delivery charges depending prices depending on which package they choose. Our ingredients will be fresh and mainly cheap, as we will be outsourcing from local farms and supermarkets and partnering with delivery services to produce and deliver packages. Through our expanding market, we aim to maximize our revenue streams, including but are not limited to our ad revenue, subscriptions, and ingredient packages. At the end of year 3, we have an expected profit of 5 million Hong Kong dollars. In the current market, while there are already existing grocery shopping and recipe apps such as Nutrition Kitchen and Nosh, there's currently none that provide a full end-to-end service, placing us at a huge advantage with our family-level customization. Elixir has huge potential to develop. For first year, we will launch our platform and then begin advertising through various social media sites. In the second year, we will launch weekly nutrition challenges, which will allow users to interact with each other. We will then hire more nutritionists and expand our recipe databases. In our third year, Elixir will establish the API data transfer so that customers will be able to connect their fitness apps to Elixir, collaborate with fitness influencers, and launch seasonal packages. Elixir is an app powered by personalization and convenience, with differentiation from all other food delivery services. It is coming at the perfect timing for this growing market. Thank you.
Judges, you may ask your questions.
Hello, thanks for the presentation. Got a quick question. You said that you use some AI for the personalization. Can I ask what kind of information you're collecting from your customers to help the AI make its decisions?
Oh, certainly. So thank you for your question. After our users download the app, they can make an account and they will get a survey. So this survey will ask for their dietary preferences, cuisines they might prefer over another. So for example, they can choose between Chinese, Japanese, Singaporean, and such. And also they will ask, because we want to bring convenience to our users, we will ask what appliances they have at home, and also how much time they have available to cook each meal daily. So for example, if a person is a working parent and they have a really busy schedule, they have around 5 minutes to cook, they can state that in the survey and we will cater to their personal need.
To add on to that, we understand that some might have issues with privacy, so the survey is, you can fill out anything you want on the survey, nothing is compulsory to fill out, but the more you fill out, obviously, the more the app will be able to personalize the meals to your convenience.
A quick follow-up to that question is, how often do you think your customers will be filling these surveys out?
Thank you for your question. So to continue on with that question, the survey will be filled out at the beginning when the user first downloads the app, but then if they ever wish to change the survey, for example, if they might have more time to cook or they find out they're allergic to something, they can always go back and change the survey. And then the app will customize everything to their need, preferences, and needs.
Have you looked into the comparison of costs of using your platform versus a regular person either going to the groceries or using food delivery services? Is there kind of a premium or is it roughly the same? Have you done any comparisons regarding this?
Oh yes, we have actually talked to someone from Blue Apron, which is one of our competitors, but they're based in the US. So our meal packages are actually relatively cheap compared to theirs, since we outsource from local farms and supermarkets. And also we will ask our users which price range they would prefer. So we would cater to how much they're willing to spend on each meal.
Judges, do we have any more questions? Okay, if not, let us give a big round of applause to the next So our next team will be Clip Lingo. Unfortunately, Unfortunately, as two of their members are unavailable, we will be playing a recorded video, but we do have one member, Len, who will be answering the judges' questions live. So ClipLingo is an app that acts as an online educational platform for Japanese K-12 students to learn conversational English skills. Yes, thank you.
Hello, we're ClipLingo. This is Len, Tomo, and Chelsea, and our solution is going to revolutionize the way language learning happens by providing Japanese students with accessible opportunities to learn conversational English. Only 8.7% of the Japanese population can speak English. I found this statement true when I attended a Japanese local middle school as a student over the summer break. Although students had vocabulary words and sentence patterns memorized, no one was able to have a general conversation with me in English. This shocking experience motivated us to pursue this product. Despite receiving 9 years of compulsory education, people are not able to gain English skills. In fact, a survey conducted in 2021 by the Swiss International Education Company ranked Japan as 78th in English proficiency in the world and characterized Japan as a low proficiency nation. To further prove what I noticed, we interviewed local Japanese students, and 54.5% of the people we surveyed answered that they feel uncomfortable speaking in English. Clearly, the current system is not successful in teaching Japanese students. English proficiency is highly useful for many professions, and the UN supports this statement. We believe the lack of English speaking skills in Japan has made it harder for Japanese companies to enter the global market, contributing to the current decline in Japanese economy. And the Japanese people understand that their lack of English skills could be the problem. 100% of the people we surveyed answered that they feel like English will be an essential skill to obtain for the future. Yet 84.7% answered that they feel like they're struggling to learn the language for various reasons. The students are wanting to gain the skill, but they just don't have the right resources. Hence, to approach this issue, we decided to provide these students with an opportunity to study English outside of school. We are creating a free app that checks the user's English proficiency, ClipLingo. While viewing movie trailer clips as exemplar films, the customers will be able to improve their pronunciation and fluency skills.
Here's a sample design of what the ClipLingo app would look like. Its functions include first watching the clips of movie trailers provided as many times as needed in order to get a feel of the correct tone and pronunciation of words. Second, while looking at the transcript provided in both Japanese and English subtitles, record yourself reading out loud. Then hitting the submit button to finally receive feedback evaluated by AI-based technology on your pronunciation, fluency, and tone. Additionally, our app will provide a list of recommended clips to practice next based on the proficiency of your previous recordings.
A pre-existing competitor is VoiceTube. They have a paywall after 5 phrases in order to receive unlimited practice, and not only that, but they also do not have any Japanese translations. And although this app provides a larger variety of film options, its focus is definitely shifting towards profit, and reviews suggest that features available to free users consistently decline as updates roll out. Contrary to VoiceTube, we allow access to free English education clips and AI feedback for all via ad revenue. The other competitor on the market, SpeedChart, is free of charge, but only provides subtitles with translations for each individual word, and not entire phrases. It also provides no feedback at all, meaning users won't know if they're improving linguistically or not. 81.8% of the local students we surveyed consider English as an asset and are willing to learn beyond the high school classes. That is why we plan on starting small with our local elementary, middle, and high school students by providing a fun way to learn English interactively, potentially with the English version of their favorite shows. As we gain more traction and revenue, we plan to expand our target to college students and ultimately adults. If this proves effective in the Japanese community, we hope to use this for other countries that wish to learn English as well, using the same AI feedback technology. When analyzing the market, we calculated the maximum revenue we could generate per session. We arrived at $636,500 as the maximum potential revenue per session. This is quite a profitable model, as people will likely do more than just one session a day.
Our market strategy is to offer customers a free online educational platform that is accessible anywhere at any time to learn conversational English skills. By utilizing movie trailers, we can combat the issue of copyright restrictions while generating greater recognition for the movies. Our app will have an ad-based revenue model as we want all customers to have access. As our app gains more popularity, we hope to build partnerships with film companies to generate greater revenue for both ClipLingo and the movies itself. Thank you. We would also like to give a big thank you to the organizers of the Young Founders Summit, as well as our mentors who have helped us through our journey of becoming young entrepreneurs and changemakers. Thank you.
Your question. I think that Len is here on the... Yes. Hello.
Hello. I'm Len. Unfortunately, my group mates aren't able to join this call, but I'll be answering your question.
Hi, thanks for that, the presentation. Similar question around the AI. AI is not an easy thing to develop, so I kind of want to understand how you're developing your AI, because for AI to also do voice recognition for a lot of different people who have different accents, etc., that's also quite an uphill challenge as well. So I kind of want to understand how you're developing your AI.
We were talking about how, as high school students, we don't have really the technique to develop those AI technology skills. So we're planning to communicate with other language companies who have the AI, and then borrow the AI or buy the AI from them. That was what we're thinking.
Thank you. Are there any other questions?
Hey there, I got a quick question. Does the app or system actually let the person listen to what they were saying? Because a lot of times you don't hear how you actually sound yourself, and that's sometimes a component in learning how to enunciate words.
Before our customers submit the recording to the AI, they are able to listen to the recording, or re-listen to what the recording and then submit it. And even after they submit it, I think they would get their recording too, so they can reflect upon their pronunciation and fluency skills.
Hi, Lynn. Thank you so much for the presentation. Interesting idea. When you are planning to grow into different segments in the education, the age groups, of course, everyone will have to learn the language a little bit more uniquely. How do you plan to actually create the curriculum for each of the different age groups, and how would you like to evolve it as you go into different target customers?
We were thinking of changing the type of movie we're going to recommend. I think we mentioned in the presentation that we were going to recommend several films to the customers based on their score on their pronunciation. But for example, if it's like a high school student like me, we might recommend high school movies to the customers, because that would correspond, the phrases in the movie would correspond to what the people would use in real life. While if we expand into a more rather older age, where people get into a company, we might choose a movie that is based in a company, so that the phrases that are used in the movie are something that our customers will actually be able to use in real life.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? If not, thank you, Len. Thank you, Pitlingo. Let's give it a round of applause. Okay, now, so our fifth team is Immacity. We have one member here with us and two others who will be joining virtually. Immacity is a startup that brings affordable and sustainable air and water purification systems to everyone. Thank you, Immacity.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and esteemed judges. My name is Dilip Sai, and I'm here today to pitch to you our business proposal for our company, Immacity. Picture this: Fatima, a 24-year-old single mother, is living in Bangladesh, the world's most polluted country. Is living paycheck to paycheck just to make ends meet. She has two young daughters, Nusra and Tiger, aged 3 and 5. She worries about the pollution her children are facing every single day, and she just isn't able to afford the new purifiers in the market. Fatima is not alone in facing such problems. There are millions of others out there who don't have access to clean air and clean water. This is where Immacity comes into play. Immacity brings affordable and sustainable purification systems to everyone for a fraction of the cost of traditional purifiers. So what problems does Immacity exactly address? First of all, we noticed that many filtration systems are very expensive and are produced by non-sustainable and non-renewable means. Secondly, the fruit beverage industry produces a lot of organic waste, with 144.5 tons of organic waste being produced annually in Singapore alone. We came with a solution to solve both of these problems, using organic waste to make filters. How is this possible, you may ask? Well, sugarcane bagasse, a byproduct of sugarcane juice, can be made into air filters due to the dry, fibrous, pulpy properties. Durian husk, on the other hand, can be used to synthesize reduced graphene oxide, which is an essential and key component of water treatment systems. Since both of our filters are made using biodegradable materials, they can be disposed of in an environmentally friendly way once used. Here is a base 3D model for our air purifier. After accounting for production and design costs and manufacturing costs, we came up with a selling price of $119. Since our filters need replacing after a while, we also coupled a subscription model of $9 per month to send a replacement filter to the user. This design also accommodates for easy replacement of the filter, which is necessary. Here is the design for our water purifier. However, we will not be talking about this today, and this is one of our plans for the future. Our target market consists of people with respiratory diseases, young parents, and the elderly. We would also like to partner with NGOs looking to distribute our air purifiers at highly discounted prices to those who need it the most. Here we define our total available market, serviceable available market, and serviceable obtainable market to get a sense of the market we're entering. Our go-to-market plan firstly consists of partnering up with a reputable sugarcane bagasse supplier and a manufacturer with a low minimum order quantity. Then we would also like to run targeted advertisements on our target market to garner and drive traffic to our website. So what happens once a potential customer reaches our website? They'll be able to purchase our products, which will be coupled with a subscription service to retain the customers and ensure a constant revenue stream. The option to pay in installments will also be provided for those who need it. So, are people really interested in our products? We conducted a survey with over 100 respondents, and 71.9% of the respondents showed interest in purchasing our product. On top of this, we've also garnered 32 pre-orders in just 1 week from our website. When it comes to price, we conducted more surveys, and we found out that the majority response for the product cost that they were willing to pay was $110 to $120, which shows that our price point of $119 is more than reasonable. Our subscription cost also matches that of the majority. These are our direct competitors, as well as their respective prices, biodegradability of their filters, and their respective market shares. As you can see, what sets us apart is that since we use organic filters, we're able to keep our purification systems both cheap and eco-friendly, which gives us all the competitive edge we need to thrive in this market. This graph depicts where we foresee our company to grow in the upcoming years. We expect our customers to grow exponentially due to our unique cost and our profits to follow suit. By 2024, we expect to become profitable, and by 2026, we believe we'll be able to obtain 20% of the serviceable obtainable market. As of date, we have conducted research and experimented with sugarcane bagasse filters. We've presented our research at various science fairs and we've won awards. We have also validated our filters showing that they're indeed able to filter out PM10 and PM2.5 particles, which is 90% as efficient as a HEPA filter. We've also built our website and garnered 32, and I think more today, pre-orders to our website. And finally, we've reached out to NGOs via calls and emails and sourced for local food beverage stalls for their organic waste for production. Finally, here's the team bringing to you our company, Immensity. I'm in charge of tech and software, Ablas is in charge of marketing and networking, and Priyansh is in charge of research and development. Both Priyansh and Ablash are unable to be here with us today because they're overseas conducting on-site interviews with our target market. Finally, here's the QR code which you can access our website and place it free pre-orders if you like. Clean air and water is a right, and we are here to provide for it. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much for that presentation.
I have some 3D models I would like to show.
Yes, could you?
The mini ones.
So as you're showing us that, I'm very, very excited and happy that you're working on this because there's a lot of ways to product solutions out there. And your bagasse is one, coconut husk into chocolate. Yeah, that's right. And chocolate briquettes into chocolate filters as well, right? Definitely very, very viable business cases. And we've done it before, so we've seen it.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting, very technically plausible, very usable that way. So could you just explain this prototype before I ask my question?
Yeah, sure, alright. So we have a fan here which will suck in air, and we plan to place for air purifiers using sugarcane filters, right? So we plan to place our filters in the middle, and we also plan to place some additional filters which shouldn't cost that much behind to ensure that the air will be of the cleanest quality possible. Yeah.
So how many layers of filtering are you doing apart from the bagasse layer?
So the bagasse will be the first layer. We'll also have 2 more layers behind, like just any other traditional filter, which uses HEPA filters and a few behind.
Okay. And you said that it's comparable to HEPA PM2.5, PM10?
Yeah, particulate matter 2.5 and particulate matter 10 contaminants.
Okay, and it's still just the different layers itself?
Yeah, this one.
That would be able to do it?
Yeah.
So the product itself is already, sorry, I have many questions, so I only asked 2 more. So one, the product is already tested and already produced, so you have your prototype.
We have a sugarcane burgers prototype, yes. But we have not yet made the purification system.
And in terms of your go-to-market, what is the strategy there? Do you want to do because you seem to be doing a B2C model, right, straight to the consumer. Have you considered doing a B2B model?
Yeah, let me go back to that slide. Yeah, so what we plan to do is our B2B model ensures that we have a constant revenue stream. Our B2C model ensures we have a constant revenue stream. Our B2B model supports our cause, which is to provide clean air and water to everyone. Which is why what we initially wanted to do was to directly sell our things to NGOs. However, we do not want to consider these NGOs as customers. Instead, we want to consider them as partners so that they can distribute our products at highly discounted cost to people who need it. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have one question. I think it's super interesting what you're doing. So what you showed us is for air. You have it for water as well.
I showed a water purifier that we made a 3D model design, and we also are aware of how to make it using sugarcane bagasse. I'm not sugarcane, but durian husks to synthesize produce graphene oxide, which is like a thin flimsy filter, but it has very, very tiny holes which allows it to filter out many, many contaminants. However, we have not yet developed this yet, so that's why I said that we will not be going to this today due to it being a plan in the future.
And then my final question is, your target market is more emerging markets, right?
Yeah.
So how do you, have you done enough study to understand, to see whether or not people can pay $9 a month for a subscription? So I kind of wanted to understand your
So the $9 per month subscription is mostly targeted towards these people who we expect to have sufficient money to be able to pay for that. But for the people who aren't able to do that, which is what we plan to distribute using NGOs, they do not need to pay the $9 per month, as the NGOs will be taking care of it, and we won't even be charging $9 per month. Because the filters don't cost that much to make. Sugarcane bagasse costs like, it's 3,000 rupees for 1 ton of sugarcane bagasse. And calculating that, it's almost like 1 cent per filter. But the process of making it also only increases the price by to maybe $1, which is why we are able to produce our filters and give it to the NGOs for free.
Do you know when your filters are not good? In what scenarios do they work very well? And in what scenarios do they not work so well?
We have not done enough research and development for that yet. However, as you can see on the slide, our main focus for 2022 and 2023 will be research and development, but for 2023 we're focusing more on marketing to push out our air purifiers. Yeah, but we still need to conduct more research and development to make sure that our product is the best that it can be.
Thank you so much, judges. Any message? Our time is up. So, next up, we have Stu Fashion, a platform for students to voice out their opinions. Stu Fashion, please.
Hello everybody. Today I'm going to present to you my company, Stu Fashion, the one platform for students to voice out. So So before we start, let me share the project inspiration. Me, as an active STEM student, has been traveling across Malaysia to different high schools to participate in different competitions. But there's one thing that I always notice. Different school comes with different facilities, different learning atmosphere, different quality of educators. But we, as students, deserve the same amount of education, because education is the thing that's going to shape us to become the leaders of the world. So we, as a team, has a vision to give students to voice out their solutions regarding education. So our company is run by this quote: when the world is silent, even one voice becomes powerful. It means that voices is the key to move us forward. So I'm Kong the CEO of the company, and I'm proud to present to you my team here.
I'm Wei, the CFO of this team.
And I'm Goi Hung, the CTO of this company.
And I'm Zhan the CMO of the company. So, diving into any business, it's very important to have a market analysis, and we have it. So, as you can see here, there are nearly 2 million of students in public school in Malaysia and 42,000 of students in private schools. As you can see in this data, we can clearly see that our main priority market is on the public school, and it has a larger market potential. So all of these big numbers means nothing when there's no one is interested to use our app, right? So we have a survey in our school with 1,800 students and introduce them to fashion and ask them would they use our app. And we have an excellent result with 86% of them wanted to use our app. And this proved the feasibility of our idea.
So after we know all of this problem, we came up with this solution. The chat features is the main core of our application, and we have done survey with our school teachers and students and come up with this main chat category. Students can give feedback about the facilities and the educator qualities, and they could also report any bullying cases if they are suffering from it. We have also created a psychology chat to let the students who are actually suffering from mental issues to talk with other students in anonymous mode. And last, we also have the future study discussion to let the students discuss their future study development with the school alumni. Since this is such a big problem, why there's still no solution for it? After we have done some research, we found an indirect competitor called Twitter. Although it's a very good application and with a very good management, but it's not education based. We have also found another direct competitor called India. It's education based, same as our application, but due to its lack of management, it's currently suspended.
So one of the ways to fashion gain revenue is we use our fashion plan. The baseline is $600 per year per school every year, including 100 student account, features including forums, student study groups, teacher and admin platform. So if a school has more than 100 students, you need to more than 100 account, right? So we will charge $4 for each student each year. Like example, if you have 2,000 students in your school, so the school need to pay like $8,200 each year. And we have also add-on features such as the department reports, educator reports, and also the custom dashboard. All this feature costs $200 per year.
So every successful business have a solid business model, and this is ours. So we provide school a platform to connect with students and know the insight of the students. Our main cost of the company is the startup cost, R&D cost, debugging and maintenance fee, and employees' monthly wages. But we can gain a lot of revenue by signing contract with government education department and also schools. The management team is also another key part of our business, whereas 4 of us, the co-founders, focus on different sectors in the business. For example, Wei Kun as the CEO of the company and Zheng Wei as the CFO.
And we approximate that our startup capital will be around $80,000 and our yearly cost is $93,000, and it will increasing yearly since our company will become bigger and bigger. Around 2024 quarter 1, we will start to our turnout point. At 2028 quarter 1, we will reach up to $6 million of our total revenue.
So let me tie back to the first quote. When the world is quiet, even one voice becomes powerful. Students, let's voice our solutions.
So I I haven't seen a lot of similar products in the market right now. However, it seems fair to me, at least right now, it seems fairly easy to create such a platform. So what sets you different and what sets you apart? What would make it different from other people to, let's say, copy your product? Or how will you prevent other people or new competitors to come in and take part of the market from you after you sufficiently got to the market and maybe started your business?
That's a really good question. So we were thinking about this beforehand. So our main key point is to integrate with the educational institutes, private sectors, public sectors, because this is a fairly fresh idea, right? There's not a very solid competitor here. So once we include the public institutions, private institutions, sign contract with them, so they will also get to see the report of each school, like what's going on with the quality of educators, the facilities, and the learning atmosphere, and so on about the students. So in that way, we can ensure that our project will not be copied and so on. But there's another thing that to keep in mind as well. Like it's a fairly easy developed product, but the way how we're gonna sustain the business is another thing to gonna make us be different than others.
Can you share a little bit more? So what would that be?
So firstly, we are gonna generate individual reports for teachers all across schools in Malaysia. Our target market as seen is Malaysia, right? So the teachers can get individual reports of what to improve in certain areas and so on. We currently have reached out to private institutions in Malaysia, as my school is a private school, right? They say we are currently launching a beta testing, and we have first bite, and this is like some comments from our vice principal and the students as well. So that's a way to improve our business model, and our business model is trying to also include everybody into it. We are people's platform, but not like a business. We want to incorporate everybody and the community inside.
Quick question. And thank you so much for your presentation and thinking about this, especially putting in an element about bullying and the psychology elements for mental health of students. I think it's a really important thing to be addressing, so thank you for doing that. I'm wondering, how do you actually, so creating a platform is one thing, but for a student to voice out questions around bullying or even mental health is very difficult, right? Sometimes there's a stigma to it. So even if we have the app, it's sometimes still difficult for them to connect. How do you think you would encourage them to still make a report, right? Or how does the app make it easier for them to report?
Okay, thank you for your question, alright? So one of our startup capital include is marketing awareness. So our marketing strategy is mainly signing business contracts with the government. So most of our marketing budget will be running in school like campaigns to encourage people that it's okay to be bullied, it's okay to suffer from mental health, but we need, as students, we need to voice out. We need to make a change, if we want to make this education system and everything better, we need to make a change from ourselves first. So I think that's really important because I've similar experience to it before, and I know it's really, really hard to step out of the zone, but if you step up, it will be a lot better.
Thank you. Do we have any more questions? If not, thank you, Stu Fashion.
Thank you very much.
Our seventh theme is Access ID, an e-commerce platform that aims to reduce food waste. Access ID, thank you. Let's cheer for them.
So hi, competitors, parents, mentors, and of course, honorable judges. We are Access, and today, we want you to meet Dewey. Louis is a 31-year-old father who makes only $700 a month. Imagine every day having to feed 4 different people while managing all your other expenses with only that much money. It's no wonder why he's currently struggling financially. But what is the problem that he is facing? The problem is food. Every week, we spend $100, which equates to $400 a month only on food. This means that more than half of his monthly income is spent on food. Meanwhile, in all parts of Indonesia, food is being wasted in enormous amounts. Specifically, 48 million tons of food is being wasted annually, and this amounts to about $30 billion. This level of food waste is insultingly high, especially for people like we who are struggling to make it financially.
Hence, we started Access, an e-commerce platform that serves as an intermediary between consumers and food producers. And yet the best part is, all of our food is at a discounted price. We achieve this through letting sellers list down their excess food on our platform. Through our virtual marketplace, residents like we are able to buy cheap food at a good price and also meet their daily consumption needs. However, we don't hold up any of our stock because our consumers directly contact our producers. Currently, we've developed a beta prototype that is based on the needs of our user persona, which has a clean and easy user interface and also a simple functional app flow. However, currently we've been developing our market rather as a service than an application. This is our target market. Of the total addressable market, about 9.18 million residents are without access to nutrition in Greater Jakarta. Assuming you capture about 5% of that market share, you can gain about 460,000 people on our platform and about a growth rate of about 8.44% in the next 5 years.
And so we tested our service at a local restaurant called Seiko. And to our dismay, only 34% of respondents actually expressed interest in the idea. And the main reason being that they are worried that excess food produced by restaurants do not last very long. And in addition to that, restaurants are not a significant producer of food waste. This is because most of the meals cooked are based on demand. Therefore, we decided to pivot our focus to a less perishable group of foods, mainly groceries. We realized that groceries may be a more enticing options for consumers. And through our discussions with various food giants in Indonesia, namely Ranch Market as well as Holland Bakery, we discovered that there is a considerable window of time between when these companies actually throw away their food and when the true expiry date is, as can be seen on the slide. In fact, each store produces roughly $100 to $200 worth of food waste every single day. That's equivalent to feeding over 60 people. And so we also connected with our potential users, and we discovered that 73% of them actually expressed interest in using our platform to buy less perishable food that is often found in grocery stores.
Alright, so through this market validation, we have found out that the large majority of the products that we intend to sell on our platform will follow a high volume but low cost pattern. So we intend to take advantage of this by first implementing a flat charge commission fee on every single transaction that we process. Now, in the long term, we plan to also implement ad revenue in order to take advantage of this large volume. Now, this is reflected in our financial projections for the next 5 years, where we can see that it takes a dip for the first 2 years as we get started off, but once we gain a sufficient user base, gain sufficient volume, we can implement ad revenue and our profits will hopefully and most likely skyrocket. So we have identified 3 of our major competitors in this space of the food industry. The main one being Gojek. They are the largest competitor, but we believe we have an advantage because we are selling excess goods at a very discounted price. Now, Too Good To Go is another competitor, and we believe that we are superior to them in the sense that we offer delivery services directly to consumers, making us more convenient and hence more desirable. In addition, Too Good To Go isn't even in the Indonesian space, so it's just a good comparison to base ourselves on. In addition, we have Surplus. Surplus is our most direct competitor, but we believe we are more beneficial than they are in the sense that Surplus markets themselves as a novelty for the higher end, while we believe that we are a necessity for the middle and the lower class. In addition to this, Surplus has already secured funding, so we believe that we ourselves can perform as well, if not better, and secure a similar funding.
Okay, and then finally, we have our 4-step process in expanding our growth towards the coming future. In the beginning, the first year, we will be getting as many partnerships as possible with local groceries. This is to ensure that we have enough sellers to fully develop our app in the second year. And once we fully develop our app, we'll be able to gain ad monetization for the 3rd year. And once we gain ad monetization and our revenue increases, that will then enable us to expand both to different products and also to different regions in Indonesia and globally.
Team, please wrap up in 1 sentence.
Okay, so this is our team. The four of us have excelled in different departments in order to make a team that will work better together as opposed to us four individuals. So once again, we are Access.
Save the food, save your pockets.
Hi guys, thank you so much for the presentation. For full disclosure, we've actually invested in a company similar to yours as you proposed, by the way. So it's a real deal that you guys are working on. Real problem, real need, real potential solution, right? And I like that you walk through the process of how you change the mind from going to the restaurants to actually going into the grocery segment. And it's exactly the same journey that we went through. Okay, so great stuff there. I have a couple of questions on your presentation, specifically on the business model itself, right? What is it that will help you in the business channels or the sales channels? How do you actually bring customers to find out about your platform and actually want to buy from your platform these groceries?
Okay, so actually, so we actually, aside from advertisement, as can be seen on the slide through social media platforms, we are actually working together with some companies, not on this slide, but the one that I mentioned, such as Ranch Market and Holland Bakery. And basically, they said that they want to see us grow further before they want to work together with us, because at this point, they're not sure if we can accommodate with the number of transactions going on each day. And so basically we want to get our brand known by collaborating with these companies who would want to use our platform, since they're much bigger than us.
Do we have any other questions?
Yeah, I just have one question. So have you thought through the logistics and how it's going to work? Just the flow, so the customer orders, the supermarket has to prepare all the food, who pays for the delivery.
Alright, so I'm really glad that you asked that question. So first, when the customer orders, they'll either have the option to pick it up at the groceries, or if they're willing, they can have a delivery option. Obviously that complicates things a bit, but we believe we can make it work. Now, when customers order, there's either direct delivery or, as we mentioned, pickup. And obviously we have to have quality control over excess foods, because those are foods that are nearing the risky period of getting expired. So obviously we have quality control. Now, obviously as the third party, we're really not, we're selling the products as is. We're not exactly selling them, we're providing a service to sell the platform. But we obviously have regulations in check. We have safety regulations, and we check the food produced by the producers. And so in addition to this, we have a feedback system in place. So the customers have the opportunity to leave feedback for the producers, and all this feedback will be left public, so that the food producers are also incentivized to sort of keep their quality in check, so that they do not ruin their reputation, they do not, they maintain their good brand image.
We have time for one last short question, but if not, we can leave.
Have you thought about your partners doing what you're doing themselves? Have you thought about that possibility?
Yeah, so basically, what we've seen by actually going to them, what we've actually seen by going to them is that at this point, they don't see this as something they can do very widely, because they don't have the amount of as much wide of a range as we do, because we give options that is more variative to the consumers, and so they're not interested in doing something like this, because each grocery stores usually have a set range of food that they can do, and different grocery stores have different focus in what they actually sell. And so by gathering all of this together into one platform, it would be something that the consumers would want to use more easily.
Thank you, Access ID. Your time is up. Let's give them a round of applause. the day, let's show our biggest support. So our last competitor will be Stonks. Stonks is an education technology startup aimed at reducing social inequality and empowering students to find meaning in learning. Stonks.
Reds is the only time where somebody can buy 100,000 pizzas and nobody wonders why. The content in our education curriculum has minimal relevance to the working world, as there's high emphasis placed on rote learning. As a result, 54% of high schoolers find what they're learning in school irrelevant. 43% of students find school boring. And lastly, there's a 25% decrease in student engagement rates every time students progress to the next education level. Now, imagine going for the same race as everybody else, except that you're in a car that hasn't been maintained. The high cost of private education and tuition results in social inequality. 54% of Singaporeans spend more than $500 a child, and this is unaffordable for many middle and low-income families. Good afternoon, judges. We are Mabel and Chen Xiang, a team of 17-year-old students. With two distinct problems, we had one solution: introducing Zoomers. Currently, we have two products. The first is our study guides, which teaches the content covered in the curriculum, as well as the real-life application of the products. This product is developed and sold in the market already. Secondly, we have our e-learning games, which provides more detailed and real-life application. It allows students to put their skills into practice and provides analytics for parents. So, we have three unique selling points. Firstly, we implemented a loose pick strategy where we'll be focusing on niche markets with less competition, and these are subjects like history, geo, lit, and science. After we've developed a stronger branding, we will then focus to develop content for math and English. Secondly, we help students with 20% effort to achieve 80% results. This is because we focus on helping students understand the concept instead of memorizing. Lastly, at 10% the cost of tuition, it's a much more affordable choice for parents. So here's a look at our prototype. On our site, we will have hundreds of questions. Currently, these questions are extracted from our study guides, but as we go along, we intend to crowdsource these questions. So on the site, students can search for specific topics, and all these quizzes have real-life examples so students can put their skills into practice. After students complete the quizzes, their parents will get an update of their performance, and parents will also get to view their performance on the dashboard. For our business model, our study guides are priced at $29.90. Our quizzes are priced at $45 a month, and parents who choose to get both can buy it at $60. So our pricing strategy is based on two experiments done at Carousel. Over the same period of time, we priced it at $37 and $29. We decided on going with the $29.90 pricing because it had the same number sold despite the higher pricing. So here's our current profit at $4,700. There's a significantly higher profit in September because it was exam season. Of our customer profile, 83% of our customers are parents, 12% are students, and the remaining 5% are educators. For our go-to-market strategy, we'll be focusing on three platforms. Firstly, Carousel, Facebook, and Instagram. So these channels are listed in its order of importance. And based on our experiments, we derived a couple of strategies. For example, on Carousel, we realized that we needed to repost the listings after every month to ensure that our listings are still right at the top. For our market size, the global edtech industry is valued at $254.8 billion. The Southeast Asia edtech industry, which we'll be focusing on, is valued at $480 million, and 10% of that will result in $48 million. So why now? The edtech market is expected to grow to $372 billion in 2026. There's a greater adoption of online learning due to COVID-19. And lastly, Southeast Asia's digital economy is growing 20% year-on-year. For competitors, we have the USA edtech company called Hero, Zenith Education and Learning Lab, which I respect are some of Singapore's well-known tuition chains. However, we are the only ones focusing on the Southeast Asian market, have live feedback, game-based learning, is engaging, and has fast content creation. Currently, we have study guides for 4 subjects, targeted at grade 7 to 8 students, as well as a prototype for the e-learning game. By first half of next year, we intend to build our web app and develop our content for other subjects. By end of next year, we intend to open up the crowdsourcing feature so that students and parents can upload their content. And lastly, in 2024, we intend to further produce videos as well as provide 24/7 assignment help for students to give them a more comprehensive experience altogether. So this brings me to the end of my presentation, and I'm now open to questions. Thank you.
Judges, do we have any questions?
I have one. So there are a lot of players in the edutech space also focusing on what you're doing. Could you kind of share with us kind of how you're thinking about your differentiation point?
So basically one of our key differentiation point is that we focus on the real life examples of the chapters covered in school. So over on this slide, instead of just helping students learn the content and memorize it, we actually come up with scenarios where these students can put what they learn into real life. So for example, for a literature concept, they can put it into practice and learn how to apply it into an elevator pitch scenario. So we expect 90% of our quizzes will have a real life scenario. However, there's some exceptions for 10% of it where you simply can't put it into any real life scenario. This is because of the education system curriculum itself. Yeah, so this is one of the major differentiation points from our business competitors, many of which do not have this feature.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions?
Thank you so much for your presentation. And I noticed you have revenue already, right? So you're already getting it out there. So good for you, by the way. And even better when you have a pitch when someone says, I got real money in the bank already. So one question I have is, for the prototype, have you tracked or even surveyed the parents or surveyed the students to actually see how they're learning better or actually grasping material better? Because that's really your differentiation, right?
So mainly the surveys we did for those students and parents after they bought the study guides, because the study guides is something similar to this game, except that it's in a less detailed version. So about 90% of them came back to say that it actually helped them improve in their learning a lot, and it's helped them to better understand the concepts because they actually learn it a lot, memorize it. So a lot of them we are actually interested to subscribe to the game-based learning feature until eventually when it's out. So one of our marketing strategies would be to resell it to our customers who have bought the study guides.
Are there any last questions? If not, let's give a big round of applause. Thank you to all 8 teams for the impressive pitches. Truly, where there are needs, we have our young founders ready to meet them. Mentors, judges, friends, participants. Let's give a big round of applause for all finalists. Now, can I have Ms. Ealing and the judges leave the room for deliberation? In the meantime, we are excited to invite Ms. Jamie Lee, founder of Chai Sunrise, to deliver a workshop on the art of planning and journaling. Ms. Lee is a passionate 4-time founder and passionate about entrepreneurship and wellness. Chai Sunrise creates wellness journals to help people disconnect from digital noise and find solace in analog rituals. Meeting a need more pressing now than ever, Chai Sunrise enables people to create a safe space through journaling. We will need pen and paper for this workshop, so if anybody doesn't have paper or pen, please raise your hands and our team would come to help you. Thank you, Jamie, for this.
Hi everyone. Sorry, I usually would stand when I make a presentation, but I kind of just entering my second trimester, and if I stand for too long, I get a little bit dizzy, so just allow me, I'm going to sit through this whole presentation. Thank you.
Sorry, can we just check that everybody has pen and paper? If anybody needs any assistance, just raise your hand.
Yeah, I'm hoping to make this workshop as interactive as I can so that you can get some golden nuggets, take away some golden nuggets from this workshop as well. So out of curiosity, how many of you here have kept a journal before? So the student wearing glasses, do you remember the reason why you started journaling and why you started keeping a journal?
My dad told me to do it, so I did it for 3 years. But when I finished the book, I stopped. It wasn't.
Great, thank you for sharing. Anyone else would like to share how you got started with journaling? And it's okay if you stopped. I'm not going to say journaling is for everyone.
I would use it as a chance to like rant to myself.
So this is me. I got started with journaling when I was about 12. That's my family, me, and my little sister. So I was born in Taiwan, and my family immigrated to Australia when I was about 12. And just imagine you as a kid moving into a new country. Back then, there was only 2 Asians in my class. I looked different to most of my friends. I didn't speak the language, I couldn't speak English. And in addition to all that new stimulations, I was also trying to cope with my parents' divorce. So before I knew what hit me, I became moody, distracted, and stressed out. I was definitely not the person that I wanted to be. I couldn't focus at school. I didn't want to engage in any social activities. And I remember during lunchtime, I would be the only kid sitting in the toilet eating a sandwich by myself. In the playground, I would look at other people thinking that when would it be my turn to really experience joy and happiness. So my school principal actually contacted my mom and said, if you don't take your daughter to see a therapist, she will not be able to continue her schooling with us. And that's when I started to see a therapist when I was about 11 and 12. And during my therapy sessions, my therapist taught me how to journal, and it completely changed my life. She didn't just taught me how to journal, she also used this evidence-based method to help me reframe my mind and help me to develop a better relationship with all these negative emotions that I have in me. So this is the RAIN method, which is developed by a world-renowned psychologist and mindfulness coach, Tara Rash. And RAIN is an acronym that stands for recognize, accept, investigate, and nurture. So the first step is to really recognize what happened. And try to look for facts. I think our brain has this tendency that we create stories that may not be true. And so the first step will be, suddenly I have a morning meeting. It's more factual than just writing down, I have a meeting this morning. And step 2 is to allow yourself to feel all your emotions rather than kind of just suppressing it or ignoring it. Allow you to feel. And did you know that we have all these different words that can actually describe our emotions? So this is called the feeling wheel. So if I were to ask you, to try to pick 2 words that describe how you're feeling today, what are the 2 words that you would pick?
For me, I think I feel inspired, which is in the happy and also amazed after looking at that picture.
Oh, I love that. Very positive feelings. Anyone else would like to share?
Inspired online, but also very inspired and
Optimistic, inspired, optimistic. Great. So she didn't just ask me to label my emotions, but my therapist also taught me to rate the intensity of those emotions. So for example, right now I feel extremely excited to be here, and I would rate that 8 out of 10. And at the same time, I am feeling, slightly vulnerable. I've never met any one of you here, and it is my first time sharing my story that's deeply personal to me with you. So in terms of rating that intensity, I will rate that 7 out of 10. And the next step is to really investigate any thought patterns that I may have. And then, I will ask myself questions like, what is this experience trying to teach me or tell me? And how did I overcome this feeling previously? And what am I longing for? I found that a lot of times, a lot of successful people that I've met, I realize they may not have all the answers, but they are amazing at asking themselves really good questions. And it is through questions that you're able to get to understand yourself even better. And then last step is to nurture by reframing the way you talk to yourself. And some questions might be, what is one thing I can do for myself? And the other one is, what is one kind thing I can say to myself? And according to psychology, there are other 2 methods that you can use, which is very effective. The first one is called psychological distance. So try to think of your situation from a third person's perspective. Some of you might feel really nervous presenting today. You can ask yourself, what would Steve Jobs say to me right now if he is sitting right next to me? That allows you to distance yourself from that very emotional situation and think about that particular situation from a third person's perspective. And the second one is called temporal distance, which is kind of teleport yourself to another era, to another time. So throughout COVID, it has been a really stressful period for all of us. I actually started a business 2 months before lockdown. I resigned from my full-time job. I thought I made a mistake. The business was extremely quiet because no one knew what was going to happen. And during that time, I read this book called The Great Influenza, which is a book that talks about the Spanish flu happened in 1918. And during that time, the world didn't just go through a great virus, it was also going through a war. So imagine teleporting yourself back to 1918. Not only will you not be able to use Netflix, right now we have all this entertainment at our disposal. So kind of by teleporting myself back into that era, I feel so grateful, and that was able to help me reframe my mind from a very stressful mindset, running a business during COVID, into a mindset that was filled with gratitude, thinking that I'm living in Singapore, but I still have Facebook, internet, that I'm allowed to talk to my family overseas. So that one is called temporal distance. You can also teleport yourself into the future. A lot of time, Jeff Bezos will ask himself, in 10 years, would I regret not doing this? And that also helps him to solve problems or help him to take actions. If he's going to regret not taking this action, then he's going to do it. So 2 methods: psychological distance, which is you think about the situation from another person's perspective. Second, temporal distance, which is you travel through time. So throughout COVID, we started a journaling business to help people, have a tool to understand themselves better and have a tool for personal development. And a lot of customers will reach out to us, and some of them even tag us with their entire journal entry. And this journal entry really resonated with me and touched my heart. So Michelle, she's a single mom living in Singapore. And I think it was 2021, she went to a hospital for a visit. And then the doctor started telling her, it seems like you have symptoms of COVID. And for Michelle, she's a single mom without any families in Singapore. Her immediate thought is like, okay, if I have COVID, who is going to after 2 of my kids? So she went through the REM method. And this is, I kind of put her journal entry into the REM method. She recognized what happened. Everything went by in the blood in the past 2 days. From just a simple doctor visit to ending being crudely separated at the hospital. There were 4 tests in total, 1 blood test and 3 nose swabs to rule out COVID and any other dangerous viruses. And she acknowledged her emotions. Throughout her journal entry, she kept saying she was very anxious, she was very worried. Rather than kind of just ignore her feelings, she was listing out all her feelings out in her journal. And then she investigated thought patterns. She realized that she tends to catastrophize any situation. She thinks she may have COVID. She thinks a worst case scenario, but those things have not happened yet. So she's creating all these scenarios in her head over and over again. And then she started to nurture and reframe the way she talks to herself. In the end, in her journal, she wrote that she's so grateful to be in Singapore. The doctors, the nurses, the hospitals are just amazing. The way our hospital supplies are one of the top in the world. And gratefully, the blood test came back good and all other tests were negative. It ended up to be just a non-infection. So I thought it was a really nice story and how she was so brave and open in sharing her story with us and see how her mindset completely changed just by writing down her feelings and her experiences. Yeah, so when there's a great deal of stress or pain, in your life, what's your typical coping mechanism? Sometimes many of us, we tend to make ourselves busier with work. Sometimes we might ignore those feelings, suppress it, keep ourselves busy. So next time, when you're going through stress with school, doing exams, going through breakup, feeling the pain, why not give this rank method a try? I'm not going to say that, this is going to be a magic bullet, a rank method is going to be a magic bullet. But if there's one thing that I learned, is that if you ignore your emotions, you might feel comfortable in the short term, but it's going to come back to you and feels even more uncomfortable in the long term. And if you try to face it and just sit there with your feelings, you might feel uncomfortable right now, but in the long term, you're going to feel much more comfortable. It's kind of like a rubber band. This is my feeling. What happens when you ignore it and when you just suppress your feeling? It's going to stretch it, it's going to feel uncomfortable, but if you allow yourself to sit there with your emotions, it's going to feel much more comfortable, and it allows you to really understand yourself a lot better and not let your emotions define the person that you are. And that's kind of one of the biggest lessons I learned since doing my therapy sessions with my therapist when I was 12. So this, you might want to take a photo of this if one day you want to give this a try. This is the RAIN method, RAIN, stands for Recognize, Acknowledge, Invest, Investigate, and Nurture. So I started my first two business in my early 20s, and often this is what people will see, my friends, my family, or even people I've never met. They'll be like, I've seen you on news, I've seen you on TV, often you get invited to make speeches. And back then, the first two businesses that I started was education. I feel like when I was growing up and I just moved to Australia, I feel like I wasn't being seen and heard in my school, so I wanted to make sure I created a learning environment that I make people feel seen and heard. And that's kind of one of my reasons that I wanted to be a teacher. So this is what people see from the outside, but what people don't see often were the hundreds and hundreds of journals that I have lying around in my house where I would write down my visions, my goals, similar to what you did today, writing down your vision for the business, your business ideas, pitching to different people. That's what I used to do, and often I feel like society, people see the trees but they don't see the roots. But in reality, I was running my first business for 4 years. I was completely burnt out without understanding what burnout looks like, because no one ever teaches you this is what burnout looks like, this is what stress looks like. So I was working, 12 days every day. I was working 7 days a week. I was in my early 20s, which means I was still completing my education degree at Macquarie University. And often, I would feel extremely guilty to take breaks. because there is this delusion in our society that if you want to succeed, you need to have a high level of energy, a low need for sleep, and a drive that seems far beyond ordinary people. I was just so tired without realizing that I am tired. So after 3-4 years of running a business, my health suffered. Many of my good relationships also suffered in my life as well, because I was just so obsessed with building the business. I was so focused on climbing to the mountain top without really taking the time to enjoy the view along the way. So during that time, I had no choice but to, I took out. I'm a problem solver. When there's an issue in my life, I want to figure out what happened. So I took out all my journals and really started to deconstruct every page. What happened? Why did I fail this business? Why did I fail relationships in my life? Why am I feeling so unhappy, even though it feels like I have everything that the society told me that I should have, and they will make me happy. So after, reconstructing my journal entries, there are a few things that I learned. The first one is to never let rejection lead to self-rejection. You're gonna get a lot of no's in life. You're gonna get a lot of no's if you wanna be an entrepreneur, if you wanna start a business. But I think what happened to me, I let all the no's, because I was so obsessed with my business. I put my heart, my soul, my time, my energy into the business. And I feel the no's become a no to me. I feel like it's not a no to the business, but it was also a no targeting my personality, which is completely not true. So I think I learned to kind of distinguish a no is a no to my business, and a no now doesn't mean a no in the future as well. And the second thing, during that time, I was reading all these amazing self-care books, business books, and I realized that, positive fantasy can be very dangerous. Books like Secret and all the other motivational books, often they will say, if you dream it, if you visualize it, if you manifest it, you will become a reality. But that's not true. You can't just feed your body with a set of positive data. It's kind of like if you work in tech, you also need to feed them with a set of negative data. So instead of just writing down my goals, I started to learn to write down, what would be the worst case scenario? If today my wish is to start a business, that can generate this amount of passive income for me, what would the outcome look like? And what are the potential obstacles? I think I added an extra steps. What are the potential obstacles that may stopping me from achieving my goals, instead of just all writing down the positive things. And then the third thing is, we all know what bully can do to someone's emotional wealth and also mental health. But I was my biggest bully. In my journals, I realized I was so harsh in terms of the way I talk to myself. I would never use that kind of language to to my sister or to my best friends. I constantly say things like, oh, I'm a failure, I'm too late, I should have done this years ago, I started a business too late, or I'm afraid of being judged, or even things like I can't do it. And through that gave me the opportunity and the insight to look into my inner dialogue, and also gave me that chance to learn how to reframe my inner dialogue. So, I used to be a teacher, and I will always tell my students to never say I can't do it in my class. They have to add yet at the end. So they have to say I can't do it yet. So it gives you kind of like a sense of hope. Just because you can't do something right now doesn't mean you can't do it the next day or you can't do it the next week. So I used to teach primary school students, and you see all these little kids will say, Miss Jamie, I can't do it yet, but doesn't mean that I can't do it in the future. Just some of the things that I learned how to reframe my mindset. So this is something that I know often, people may say, I started a business and it failed. I would never want to do it again. If I were to ask you, how would you reframe this sentence? What would you say? Anyone want to try? You can use, the rank method, psychological distance, temporal distance. Say today your best friend comes to you and say, I started a business and it failed.
We have volunteers here.
respected and implemented.
Oh, that's very nice. Anyone else? Oh, I can see that you have one of our journals.
Actually, all the participants.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that.
I started a business, but the outcome wasn't what I wanted to see. But I won't give up here. I'll learn from my mistakes and try again.
Great. Yeah, so I think because I love reading biographies, so often for me, I would look at other people's stories. And Phil Knight is like, Shoe Dog is one of my favorite books. Phil Knight's the founder for Nike. And he had so many failures throughout his career. So I would just ask myself, what would Phil Knight say to me right now? Even Steve Jobs, right? He was fired by his own company. I might say, what would Steve Jobs say to me right now with his failure? And I will actually take quotes and write those quotes into my journal to kind of motivate me through success, like through other people's successful and failure stories. Another one, it's not used, I'm too old or too young to pursue a career change.
It's not too late. I still have enough time, and I'm grateful to have this opportunity to be able to pursue what I want to do in my life.
Great.
Thank you. I would say age is just a number, and it's never too late. As long as I have passion, it's gonna work out in the end.
I do like that. Age is just a number, something I tell myself every day. Yeah, so one thing, how I mentioned temporal distance, sometimes I ask myself, in 10 years' time, when I look back, would I regret not pursuing this opportunity? Like, how would I feel in 10 years' time looking back to the situation that I am in right now? And similar to what you say, age is just a number. I put, you are only as old as you feel. The person who started KFC, he actually started when he was 62. And I thought that was pretty incredible. And again, I do love using other people's stories to really inspire me. Next one, I failed this exam. This means I'll never pass, I will never graduate, and I will never find a job.
Thank you so much for sharing. A lot of these things I learned and I talked to about with my therapist as well, because these are things called automatic thoughts, where one failure leads you to think that you will fail repeatedly. So normally what I do is, I would say, like, for example, yes, I failed this exam, full stop. However, what can I do next to do better? And this does not mean that I'll never pass, I'll never graduate, I'll never find a job. And even if that is the case, even if you're really in such a bad situation, think about what other people have done and how you can get out of it. So be creative. That's very important. And thank you so much for sharing. It's very, very nice.
I love that. It's similar to the rank method. You recognize, you say, yes, I fail, but that doesn't mean, I'm going to fail again. Thank you for sharing that too. Yeah, see, so I recognize. And can you see the words never, never? If you notice that you're constantly using the words never or always, sometimes when I have a fight with my partner, I'm like, you always do this, but is that true? Not really. So never and always is kind of telling you that you may fall into that black and white thinking. So by recognize that, oh, that is the black and white thinking. It's not, I'm not thinking from a growth mindset perspective. So recognize that, acknowledge your feelings. How did you feel when you failed? And when was the last time that you failed that? How did you overcome that feeling? And investigate where that thought was coming from. And again, nurture, be kind to yourself, see different reframing strategies that you can nurture your mindset. So when you learn different ways and reframing strategies, you're actually showing self-compassion to yourself. And when you do that, your body releases oxytocin, which is when someone's showing you love, giving you a hug, making you feel seen. You also have, your body is also releasing oxytocin, and that automatically reduces your stress and reduce your cortisol level. So sometimes, by learning this, it's not just good for your mental health, it's also good for your physical health, because automatically you feel more happy from the inside. But on the opposite end, when you're being harsh to yourself, keep saying the hard words like, oh, you fail, you're gonna fail again, you'll never succeed, being like your self-bully, you actually increase your heart rate, and that heart rate and spikes your stress, adds more stress hormone to yourself further. So through deconstructing my journal entries, I think what I really learned is that language has power. Language can start a war between two countries, and it also can destroy someone's dream. So think about the language that you're speaking to yourself on a daily basis. It's incredible, it's very, very powerful. Yeah, so your thoughts, your inner dialogue, every one of us have about 60,000 thoughts a day. All those thoughts becomes your habits and eventually turn into actions, and it becomes your character, and then ultimately becomes your life and the legacy that you leave behind. And it's quite astonishing that everything just starts with one single thought. It has so much, that ripple effect into the rest of your life. And so by kind of looking through my journal entries, I realized I was indexing all my goals in one area of my life, which career. All the goals I care about were just, the business is to hit this number, it needs to grow to this size, it needs to raise this amount of money. And through that, I learned that my inner compass was completely out of sync. If you were ask me, what does success mean to you when I'm in my early 20s, or what are your values, I would not know how to respond to them till this failure. It really allowed me to give myself that space and time to ask myself questions, uncomfortable questions like, who is Jamie without the career title? What does success mean to you? If you don't know what success look like to you, it's kind of like driving a car without having a destination. And what are your values? And because I've been keeping a record of my journal entries, and I realized there are a few things that really light me up. I'm very curious in nature, so one of my values is curiosity. And then I think the quality of our life is dependent on the quality of your relationships. So again, building strong relationships, authentic relationships, that's also one of my core values. And the last one is practice gratitude. So it's kind of like building a house. You need to know your values first. Just like, you're building a business, you know your vision, your values. I sometimes wonder why we never apply exactly the same method into our daily life. And I love giving myself, a yearly theme. So this year, 2022, kind of post-COVID in a way, my theme was adventure. I want to travel to as many places as I can. So I actually did 13 countries this year, purely because I have a vision that this is my thing, is adventure. I didn't get to travel for the last 2.5 years. And then through that, I'll break my goals, not just focusing on career, I'll break it into health, career, family, wealth, travel, and charity. And through those, I would, kind of put them into daily habits that I can track. So have a think about it. It's almost the end of 2022. If you were to create a theme for your for next year, 2023, what would it be? Anyone thought about that before? Does anyone want to try and answer?
For me, my theme for next year would be like a year of growth and exploration, because next year I'll be graduating from school, and there will be a lot of programs, and that's like what I want to focus on to continue building myself.
Nice. It's one of my, I think it was last year, my theme was personal disruption. Very similar to your 2023 theme.
I think for 2023 is to get global exposure because I'll be doing my internship in Jakarta.
I heard exposure.
Yes.
Cool. Exposure for your 2023 yearly theme. Cool. Yeah, and persistence can help you create a new habit. It's actually consistency that will allow you to keep it. And I always wonder why our values do not start with a verb. Because your values should be something that you do day in and day out. So I have this habit, I love tracking some of my values. For example, if I want to build authentic relationship, what does that look like? If I were to track it on a weekly basis, does that mean, I call my mom every second day? I contact my sister every second day as well? Or, I will make the mindfulness decision to catch up with a friend over coffee on a regular basis. And again, showing our curiosity, I want to learn something on a daily basis or try something new on a daily basis. So I will also track that. And then third one, practice gratitude. So that's one of my favorite things when it comes to journaling is I love gratitude journaling. Often before I go to bed, I will just write down 3 things that I'm grateful for the day. And that also allows me to end that day on a very positive note. And I feel like if I have a good day, I will end up having a good week. If I have a good week, I have a good month. If I have a good month, I'm going to have a good year. And eventually, I'm going to have a really grateful, positive, good life eventually. And I also like to make it fun. I think life shouldn't be too serious and too boring. If I hit 7 out of 7 for my habit tracker, I have this chart where I reward myself. I might spoil myself with a massage, I might take myself out for like a day to a fine dining restaurant. And I use this like as a game, for myself to make journaling a little bit more fun as well. And if you are curious about finding out what your strengths are and what your values are, this is a test that was recommended to me by a course that I did in Yale University. So feel free, it'll only take you, I think, 15 to 20 minutes, and that'll help you to discover your core, your character of strengths and also your values. And through this is very helpful, when I was, say, if you're looking for a job, you're looking for other opportunities, you can kind of match what your strengths are to that particular job position. So if you do want to, try out journaling, I'm not going to say journaling is a magic bullet. It's not going to miraculously make your life or make all your worries disappear. But if you do want to give journaling a try, here are just some of the simple steps that really work for me. But of course, everyone here is different. You have different schedule, different personality, different temperament to me. What works for me may not work for you too. But the first step is really understand your why. As with anything that you do in life, any habit, understand your why will give you that intrinsic motivation to help you build that consistency. So here are just some of, athletes, historians, celebrities, entrepreneurs, they all journal, and they all have different whys. For Oprah, her journaling method is really help her to notice the little things, track her gratitude. For Tim Ferriss was for personal disruption, for personal growth. He uses his journal to build different businesses. So there are some really interesting stories. You can read up some of them. So for Michelle Obama, her journaling is allowing, her story becoming is to allow her to track her evolution of who she is, and also the opportunity of who she can become or who she is aspired to be. And second would be start with micro steps. You can even just use the feeling wheel on a daily basis and just write down, today I'm feeling, pick 2 words. As with any habit, start small. But I love this habit stacking recommended by Ariana Huffington. So she said that if you want to create a new habit, try combine a new habit with an existing habit. That will lower the barrier entry. So for example, if you drink tea or drink coffee every morning, why not use that time and combine it with something new, which is journaling? So you can drink your coffee, still do the same thing, but also do journaling at the same time. This can work with any habits that you want to create. Combining a new habit with the existing habit, and that makes it much easier for you to create a new habit. And this is one of our journals. It's called 3 Questions a Day. I think I've been doing, just wellness workshop for corporate clients since 2019. And one thing I've noticed is that people want to give different wellness tools, mindfulness tools a try. But often people will come back to me and say, looking at a blank piece of paper is extremely scary and daunting. If I never journaled before, how on earth am I supposed to write? I have no idea how to start and I don't know what to write. So, my team and I thought of this idea called 3 Questions a Day. So every morning you just answer 3 thoughtful questions, that will help you to understand yourself better, help you to build better relationship, help you to practice gratitude. And then every page has 3 different questions. Yeah, this is just like one of our clients, she said, there are 3 different questions on every page to kickstart your day. This is my favorite things about the journal because it's hassle-free, and every time when I journal, I'm prompted to think about something new. So that's step. The next step is that as you build up a consistency, a routine, you can break your habits into chunks. The first, right first thing in the morning, it might be your to-dos, top 3 priorities for the day. And before you go to sleep, it might be write down 3 things that you're grateful for. So I know many of you here have our planners. So in our planners, there's a section that allows you to prioritize the most important things for the week, and also allows you to write down your to-dos. So that's perfect for your morning routine. And in the evening, there's another section that allows you to write down 3 memorable things about your week, or things that you're grateful for, or even track your habits. Our brains tend to imprint negative experiences a lot more than positive experiences, and that's also one of the reasons why within our section we have a section that allows you to write down the memorable events that happened to you this week that you would like to remember, and the things that you're grateful for about the week that you would like to remember as well. And I think lastly is to just make it fun, right? I think sometimes when people force themselves to write in a journal every day, it becomes a chore, it's daunting, it's not fun anymore. It's your journal, it's your journey, make it yours. So I often love to find different templates, different charms to make my journal a little bit more fun. And I think journaling is not about writing an essay, starting with Dear Diary, and then you just pour your heart out. It's not like what you see in movies. I love writing lists. So I had this list where all the things I want to accomplish before I turn 35, so I call it 35 before 35. And then sometimes when I'm feeling stressed or down, I will just write down the things, list out the things, all the things that make me happy. And that also helped me to put myself into a better positive position. Did you know that less than 8% of people actually stick to the New Year resolution? Why do you think that is? Lip service. Possibly.
Anybody else wants to try and answer this?
People don't hold themselves accountable to their resolutions, but they just forget about it.
Yeah, so I read this quote. It says, if you want to succeed in life, 10% is brain, 90% is consistency. And in psychology, they call these moments, it's kind of like landmark. When you're driving on the street, there are some specific landmarks that will allow you to slow down, or you might go faster. In our lives, there are some temporal landmarks that give you that intrinsic motivation to achieve things. for that very short period of time. So it might be New Year resolutions, or it might be your birthday. You know, you'd be like, this New Year, my new birthday, I want to achieve these things. But imagine if you can re-engineer all these little landmarks more frequently throughout your lives, you're more likely to achieve your goals and achieve your dreams. So similar to what I said before, you know, with our business, often we'll have quarterly reviews, we'll have yearly reviews, to talk about what's happening in your business, to reflect about the goals that you wanted to achieve. How about if we apply exactly the same thing into our daily lives, and we have, you know, monthly reviews about your goals. So I love doing monthly reviews. So you can also see that in our journals, in our planners. There are some monthly templates that allow you to slow down at the end of each month and allow you to reflect all the things that you've learned, big or small. Yes, so this is in your planners. And imagine just by doing 2 pages at the end of each month, at the end of 1 year, you'll have all these records that you can reflect back about what you've learned throughout the year. And this is another template that I like to use. It's called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 goal settings. It's quite simple. You know, 5 stands for what are the things you want to achieve in 5 years, in 4 months, in 3 weeks, in 3 days, or even 1 hour. So there are so many, you know, incredible, amazing templates that you can actually find online to make your journaling journey more, you know, more versatile, more flexible, more fun. And again, everyone expresses themselves differently. A lot of our customers, they love drawing, they love putting stickers, they love scribble. It doesn't always have to be writing as well. One of the most common questions I get asked is, what's the difference between, you know, typing in a journal, I have a journaling app, typing in a journal, or writing in a journal? So have you ever wondered when you're sitting, say, with your team in a meeting and there's an issue that you need to solve? Often people will say, hey, let's have a whiteboard session. I don't think I've ever been in a meeting where people say, hey, we have a problem, let's have a typing session and let's see how we can solve it. It's because when you're physically writing with your hands, it stimulates a different part of your brain that typing would never be able to. It also stimulates your long-term memory. It helps you to memorize things much faster as compared to typing. But as with any tool, right, it comes with pros and cons. With typing, you get to save it very effortlessly. You know, you have the speed. But with typing, it stimulates your cognitive solving problem ability. It also helps you to memorize things much faster. Yeah, so there are so many research out there saying that, you know, why writing will help you achieve your goals. And this research, it shows that you are 42% more likely to achieve your goals if you actually write them down. So for the last part of the sharing session, I just want to touch on gratitude, because I feel like practicing gratitude fundamentally changed the way I see the world. And yeah, so there's this really famous research done by Dr. Robert, who's a PhD psychologist at UC Davis. And he asked the participants to keep a gratitude journal for 2 weeks. So for just 14 days, not even that long. And at the end of every day, he asked the participants to write in the journal, you know, things that they're grateful for about 10 to 15 minutes. And after 2 weeks, the finding was astonishing. The participant shows, you know, 23% lower level of stress hormones, 25% reduced in dietary fat intake. You know, when we stress, when you're going through breakout, we tend to have the tendency to want to eat ice cream, fried food, unhealthy food. But when you're practicing gratitude, you know, it also has physical benefits. You know, you also gravitate towards healthier options, healthier food. And it improves your sleep quality as well, which is so important for your immune system. And when you practice gratitude, your brain releases these 2 very important neurotransmitters, which is these 2 neurotransmitters allow you to feel happy from the inside without any external, you know, validation or external factors, which is the dopamine molecule and the serotonin molecule. And I want to end the sharing with this little exercise. What can you see on this blank piece of paper.
It's a dot.
It's
but
not
does
a
anyone
trick
see
question.
anything else? Does anyone see anything else? Because I see a dot on a piece of paper.
Yeah, so, you know, throughout my sharing, I talked about how I failed my first business. And during that time, I was very, very negative. I was not the Jamie that I wanted to be. So my little sister came to me with this blank piece of paper with a black dot on it. And she said, if you're being negative all the time, you're going to spend the rest of your life looking at that black dot. But if you learn how to look at all the good things that's happening in your life, you are going to start to see all these amazing white spaces around you that you're missing out. And I thought that's quite profound. And just imagine, you don't even need to buy our journals. Who do you think you would be if you start practicing gratitude on a daily basis? Who do you think you will be this time next year? Like for me, by doing this, it completely changed my mindset. It allows me, you know, to notice all the little things in my life. And instead of how I used to be, that I was so focusing on just climbing to the mountain top without enjoying the view, gratitude allows me to slow down and enjoy the view along the way. Well, thank you. Thanks for having me today.
Thank you so much. Yeah, you know, when the participants first came in, they had your journal, they had the shirt, and they had a lanyard. But as we were giving everything out, they were all eyeing the journal. So everyone really, really liked the journal. Can everyone wave your journal? Yay!
Oh, thank you.
So we would like to take a picture with you, with all the participants with their journals.
And Jamie, if everyone else in the room wants to get a Try Sunrise journal for Christmas, where can they get it? Is there a special code?
Julie's our biggest advocate. I love how you asked this question. So you can get it from our website, which is trysunrise.com. And if you wanted to see the journals in person, we also work with over 10 retail partners in Singapore. So when you go to our website, you can press stockists, and then it will list out all the different retail partners that we're currently working with in Singapore and Malaysia. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so can everybody just wave your journal in the air? Maybe not wave it, but hold it up high so that Jason here can take a nice picture.
Everyone please look over here. All right. 1, 2, 3. One more. All right. 1, 2, 3. Beautiful. Thank you very much.
Oh, okay, we want to do it one more time for the professional camera. Yes. Okay, so
1, 2, 3. Smile. Okay, perfect.
Come on, guys, we can do better.
Come on. Okay.
Okay, as loud as possible. Okay, 1,
1, 2, 3.
Yay!
Thank you.
okay, it looks like the judges are back and have a decision. But at the same time, everybody has been sitting for so long. So how about we just take 1 second to just stretch? Like stretch out your legs with your knee. Everybody can just move around a little bit. Do a little jump with your knee. So before I hand it over to the judges to give the announcement and give the prizes, just a gentle reminder, the pitches have been judged on market need, market potential, impact potential, innovativeness, their business model, traction, team strength, and overall delivery. So the top 3 teams will be winning 3,000 USD, 1,500 USD, and 1,000 USD respectively. So now, for the moment that we have all been waiting for, can we have Elik, who will be announcing the results and giving a closing speech. Thank you.
Hey. Sorry, you guys are gonna have to hear me talk a little bit longer some more before you actually hear the results. Most of the case, right? So along
of people always ask me, like I shared earlier, why youth, why Gen Zs, can they really build? Do they continue building? So today I want to celebrate 3 leaders. YFS alumni, who have really upheld the vision of YFS over the years. This is our 5th year, right? Who have really upheld the vision of YFS over the years as entrepreneurs, as social change makers, and as community builders. This is the wrong paper. I want to celebrate this boy from the Philippines who is crazy and hungry, who really believes in making a change, and he will just see opportunities everywhere, and he knocks on concrete walls just to get in. And right now, he's actually building a startup that connects US investors and entrepreneurs with Filipino talent, leveraging a Web3. So that was him in 2018, and that's him today in the US. I want to celebrate this girl in Hong Kong who I met when she was 13 and I met again when she was 16, who's been building a social enterprise, a non-for-profit that improves child literacy, who's working on an economic, environmental, sustainability startup, and who runs a podcast called Never Too Early, Daily Sharing. And I want to celebrate these boys and girls from Singapore and Malaysia. You guys in the room, wave. I mean, if I couldn't get a picture of you, so wave as well. Who took on the challenge of building local country chapters in Singapore and Malaysia to really build communities around other young, aspiring entrepreneurs like themselves. I want to celebrate this 3 because even if they didn't win Young Founders Summit, or even if they won, they never stopped believing that they can make a difference. And so to all of you young founders here today, please don't attribute your value or measure your worth by the outcomes of yesterday's or today's pitch. Because this is not an exam and it's not a competition, that's like a full stop and that tells you what your worth is right now. Entrepreneurship is a journey, and it's a journey that you can change the odds based on your decisions. So I hope to all you young change makers in the room that if you truly believe that there's something in this world that you want that doesn't exist, there's something in the world that the world needs that doesn't yet exist, please find that courage and continue going forth and building it regardless of the skeptics and the rejections that you face. Because as a lot of wise people have said, if you don't face any rejections, it just means you're not dreaming big enough. So I hope that you all will continue asking yourselves, why do you want to be a founder? What is the problem you want to solve? And keep finding those experiences and the stories that keeps that fire within you. And please go forth and build. Because while me and my team started Young Founders Summit with the hopes and aspiration to really enable, empower, and inspire youth like yourself, I think in all honesty, every single day, you guys are the ones that inspire me. So I hope you'll continue doing that. Before I reveal the results again, right, I just want to hand it over to the judges a little bit to maybe share a little bit, a very quick one-liner on what were you looking for, and maybe some feedback for the teams as well. So we haven't announced the winners yet, so don't give it away. But yeah, maybe I can get Leon to go first.
Hi everyone. Thank you so much for having us. It is a real privilege to be here and to be not just a judge, but really witnessing a lot of your transformation and some of your ideas. So it's actually a real privilege for me to be here and watching you. So thank you for your presentations. I think you're taking from our keynote speaker today. One of the things that I really want you to remember is that, and rightly said by Yiling as well, the truth is, we need and we have a lot of problems and challenges we need to deal with. And with a lot of it, some of the solutions, they don't come quick, they don't come simple, and they don't come easy. So it's about that patience, about perseverance, the determination to keep pushing forward, and making sure that it's not a competition of me winning. It's about all the collaboration we can do to find the right solutions. And so when it comes down to impact and solutions, efficacy of what we are trying to do and make an impact for, some of these solutions are actually really good if you can partner up with a couple of people. For example, if you're doing, say, healthier food and groceries and all that, we did get a question from a judge saying, what about the incumbents? Can they do it as well? Well, maybe you can produce that solution for them because they haven't done it yet. Maybe that's a way to collaborate. And the other bit on pushing boundaries, really in the sense of looking at some of the ideas as well and saying that how do we actually get that done really, really well. And sometimes you do need that expertise, as we've asked with some questions on the teams and capabilities. So make sure that you build up you're always learning, and at the same time always look for advisors and people who can support you through that journey. So I'll leave it there, but thank you so much and great job everyone.
Also, a big thank you for having me, and thank you for all of the founders and the students today and throughout this program who showed up, right, for the problems that this world needs solving, and for following your passion and your inner voice that really wanted to kind of push through and build something, right, to change the world or make a little bit of a difference. And it's really been very inspiring to hear your pitches, to see all of you standing here. I don't remember what I was doing at your age, but definitely not this. And I work with stars every day, and it still continues to inspire me. And I think this was a breath of fresh air and makes me very optimistic about our future. Right? There's a lot of bad things happening in the world right now, a lot of problems. But with people and young people like you, I believe that we can change things and really make a difference. Echoing what my peers and judges have mentioned, entrepreneurship is a lifelong journey, right? Once you start, I'm sure it'll take you to paths and different iterations of whatever you start with, and it's just the way it is. And it'll take you'll take that mindset, you'll take that spirit wherever you go, whether you continue as a founder or you go into a corporate life. And I hope that you don't leave that spirit, right, as you go on and continue to solve problems. Two things to maybe leave with all of you. First is that if you are solving an actual problem, right, the rest will follow, right? So stick to that problem and make sure that you're actually building a product for actual need and not the other way around, right? As our speakers have mentioned today. And the final thing is, if you are thinking about success, right, just think about it this way. If you are building a product or solving a solution for 1 million people, just imagine charging them $1. That's already $1 million, right? So if you want to be a millionaire, solve a problem worth $1 million, okay? So that's what I can leave with you. And I hope that you all continue regardless, and feel free to reach out if you need any support as you continue to build your products. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. And what advice for them is what you look for in startups and so on and so forth.
Okay, so I want to go ahead. I'll keep it relatively short, but again, thank you for having me. It's a privilege to have actually been a judge to all of you guys. It's always a breath of fresh air to kind of hear new innovative ideas and kind of see how young entrepreneurs at such young age have that desire to kind of want to create something for a better world, right? And a couple of key takeaways that I would see is from my years of also building startups and also now an investor is one is I guess just never give up, right? I think that's the most important thing. I haven't seen an entrepreneur in my lifetime just really succeed on their first try, right? As Greg from Endowus, and we're investors in Endowus as well, as came up with different ideas, right? It didn't really take off, but ultimately ended up with Endowus, right? So the key is just you guys are young, right? You have a lot of things ahead of you. Don't give up even though it doesn't work out now. Be open to constructive feedback, right? So don't take it as criticism. I think that's the most important thing because we all need help. We all need advice. Even at my age, I still rely a lot on mentors and people who give me advice on a daily basis, right, to help me improve myself, improve the way I think. A lot of blind spots that I miss out. So just be open to it, right? So the feedback that we give today or anybody else, just make sure that you put it in, even though you don't have an answer to it, put it in what we call the ice bucket and just constantly think about it over time and
ask for feedback, right? So that's the only thing that I would actually say real value is, in addition to what the other judges have mentioned, is just be open to constructive feedback and just don't give up. You guys are still young. A lot of things ahead of you guys.
Yeah, I just wanted to again thank your host here for running this for over 5 years. It's crazy. When I look out into the audience over here, I just want to reiterate that what has worked the past 50 years is not going to be the way it's going to be the next 50 years. And when I was your age, there's no such thing as this going on. So clearly there's a generational difference in interest in entrepreneurship, which I think is so key to our future. Programs like this, that it's not just about entrepreneurship to make a quick buck or to get famous as a founder, but to actually do things that make a difference in our world. And the examples we saw today really mean something to me when I see it. It really gives me energy to go out and do my work on Monday, which is soon. The one thing I'll say, which kind of already heard, is there's two roles you can play. One is you can be a mercenary, and the other is you can be a missionary. Mercenaries are what? They get paid to do a job. Missionaries are what? They have passion and they will stake their life onto it and keep on doing things until it happens. You all here are missionaries, not mercenaries. And keep that in mind, because it is a long journey. And as you've heard, there will be, like all missionaries face, problems, dangers, challenges. But if you just understand that that's who you are, and look at who the other missionaries in the world have been, then you will have the perseverance to not give up, to actually make a difference in this world. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And I'm just going to hold you guys off a little bit longer because I'm just going to give a gift-up token of appreciation to our dear keynote speaker, David. Thank you so much. And to our judges. And so I am going to first announce the second runner-up. Can we do like a little drum roll, please? The second runner-up goes to Access ID. This is all you're taking home. Congratulations.
Can you speak a bit clearer? Okay guys, everyone look at me. 1, 2, smile. Ready? One more time. 1, 2, smile. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations. I just want to say that Access ID really has demonstrated tenacity and persistence. I first saw Adrian, and Audric as well in 2018. We were at the Meta office in Singapore, and then again in Beijing in 2019. So they're back for the third time. Okay, let's give them a round of applause again. First runner-up, drum roll, goes to Hyper Shelter.
Smile. One more time. 1, 2, smile. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. to the 5th cohort of Young Founders Summit champion. The winning team is Immensity by 3 Green Beans. Unfortunately, your 2 teammates are in India doing field research and speaking to users on the ground, right? Yeah, so you represent them. Congratulations.
Ready, smile, 1, 2, smile. Right? 1, 2, smile.
Alright, can we just give a big round of applause to not just the champion and the runner-up, but every single YFS participant? Okay, so I know that everyone is really hungry, but we must do the mandatory thing of taking pictures. So before we end, can I just ask the top 8 teams to just come to the front here? Can they fit? Everyone, just take everyone.
Everyone, all the young founders together.
Okay, yes. Can we have all the young founders to the front to just take pictures?
Yeah. You want me to shift? Yeah, yeah.
Okay, come everybody, just move to the front.
Okay. I shift first. Yeah, yeah, yes, thank you. Yeah, please. I wonder. Let's catch up soon. You might do it.
Okay, can everyone just come and move to fill out the space? Does the photographer want to direct or I can direct? Okay, so no queuing, no queuing. We want crowding, hiding. Yes, the buffet. Alright, can we come and fill up the front so we can take our pictures? Is there like a YFS hand sign? We have like a...
Y'all can create one. Actually, yeah, can y'all create one?
Okay, so the 1 minute task of innovation now is to create a YFS hand sign. Elaine give a small gift to the person who...
Okay, yes, yeah.
So Elaine said she'll give a small gift to the person who comes up with the YFS hand sign. So, any takers? Jason.
Alright, the other ones behind. Ines.
Hey, everybody look happy, look excited. If you are comfortable, take off your mask. We can see your beautiful faces.
Okay, ready guys, smile. 1, 2, hold on, yeah. 1, 2, smile. Ready, one more time, 1, 2, smile. Okay, let's do a fun shot guys. Ready, 1, 2,
Can you ask them to do
go.
something to cheer or
Ready,
anything?
1, 2. Sorry, yeah.
Okay, so on the count of 3, take video is it? Okay, then on the count of 3, can we cheer? Just lift our hands and say, Young Founders Summit 2020. It's not even long. Young Founders Summit. Then it's like, woo. Okay, so can okay, we have to wait for the technology to catch up with the happenings. Okay, so on the count of 1, 2, 3. Young Founders Summit. Okay, I'm sorry. I think we need a bit more energy than that. I know we haven't had lunch yet. Okay, so the cameraman says, not enthusiastic enough, cannot have lunch. Okay, so we try one more time, okay? 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you. Okay, so can we now have all the mentors and any like supporters, all the mentors? If there are any mentors here, do you all want to come and join them as well? Because you are an incredible part of this journey as well.
Fine.
Any of the judges, if you're here too?
Can we squeeze a little bit? Okay, good. Alright, as usual, the back row. Tito, okay? Alright. Okay, wait for it, okay? You just relax.
Yeah, I'll go into
Okay? So sorry. Okay, everyone ready? Oh, sorry.
Okay, from bright smiles.
Dan chair yang di depan tu ini tu. Wait, ni ini. Okay, ready guys? Smile. 1, 2, smile. One more time. 1, 2, smile. Okay, let's do one fun shot. Ready? 1, 2, go. Okay, now the video, okay?
Okay. One more time.
Okay, boleh.
Do the mentors know how to have fun?
No. Okay. Ready? Know what to shout?
What do you guys want?
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
Young Fathers Summit!
Thank you.
Camera pass.
Okay, yeah, good.
Okay, so thank you everybody. We have now come to the end of Young Founders Summit 2022. Congratulations to all the winning teams. So I'm sure that everyone is also excited for Young Founders Summit 2023. So please scan the QR code on your lanyard also, right? To be notified when we launch 2023. So please be noted that for refreshments and networking, we will close outside by 2:30.